So just like win instead of trying to bind.
Okay, guys. Hopefully you have the chat open because we are live since 15 seconds ago. Thank you for your thoughts, Milk. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another discussion featuring some good friends today. We're going to be covering the spring campaign topics that had already passed, as well as the new semester part 1 topics. Joining us today is Milk Housamo.
Hello.
Hey,
I'm not sure why I'm being called out first when I joined last to the stream. Kind of funny.
I try to randomize it, but I really should review it. I feel like I might be biased towards picking some people first versus others, but it is literally just hello, so who cares? Also joining us is Zalgus.
Hello.
Glad you can join us. And last but not least, Harvey Kais.
Yo.
Be sure to check out their topics. Milk has been uploading videos recently for the game music too, so if you're into this game's music, go ahead and check his channel out. Alright, so we are going to hop directly into the topics now. Let us start off with the spring campaign topics. And first off the bat, we will be talking about Babalon's Jiangshi variant. I will be the one covering this topic, so let me just go ahead and set this up. Alright, so Babalon has recently received an evolution where her rates for defense up has been increased to guaranteed, her self-heal on attack has slightly improved, and she received some immobility strengthening effects where if she is moved, then she applies that immobility effect that both increases the amount allies fill their own charge per turn, as well as increase their own personal damage by a slight amount. In addition to that, she gained a charm effect on attack, and her rates have been slightly boosted for the first 5 turns due to prayer. So let us go ahead and talk about what her new and modified roles are. So always important to start off with the fact that she can boost her own rate at the beginning. This is a temporary boost that will affect everything else with prayer for the first 5 turns. Besides that, she is, maybe not so uniquely anymore, a combination ally damage amp and charge filler, which means she is able to boost the damage as well as steadily increase the charge meter of her allies. And she achieves this by moving beside units, so units that she moves adjacent to will be receiving both mobility at a 90% rate, as well as harder. So that is a nice bonus. I believe she also bestows nourishment, so that in total gives an okay amp. I believe it's with the new immobility strengthening amp when she moves, should be a bit over 4 times probably. But yeah, outside of that, she can also boost her allies' charge fill through that ardor effect, as well as the immobility itself, as well as that immobility charge fill strengthening, which should amount to something like 27 CP per turn. It's okay. So lastly, and probably least, she is also improved as a minor tank and healer. So she's not really advancing into being a better tank, but at least that defense up is guaranteed, and she can combine that with her medium rate charm so that she can disable the enemies from attacking back. And as a last bonus, she does have slight resistance to magic that will never be relevant, so despite me saying that, just erase it from your head. And besides that, she is a minor healer. She mostly just heals herself every time she attacks, but she can provide some healing with a blessing as well as nourishment to her allies. And she also does have some team healing whenever she uses her charge, which will not be very often because her charge fill effects don't apply to her at all. She does have a few unmodified roles. I mean, of course, she immobilizes allies, as I mentioned. That's still the same here. It hasn't really changed per se in any way. It's not really guaranteed in the first... or it's not guaranteed out of the box past a certain amount of turns, but with prayer, it is now guaranteed. Also, she does have a bit of damage on charge, but since she doesn't really have any other damage sources or a way to get her charge up, that's not really relevant. So, to summarize this unit, she is definitely, I don't know, I could have probably put in a better effort to glaze her more, if not for a different unit, which released on this banner. For those that actually know the kits, you'll know who I'm talking about. It is Nisroch, but we will let Zalgus cover that more in detail later. But in summary, he offers a PR amp and chargeful, while sacrificing, that minor heal and tanking that Babalon had. Besides that, Nisroch also had just a better ability to immobilize their entire team, because Babalon doesn't actually immobilize herself, whereas Nisroch does. If you think that's actually a plus rather than minus, then Nisroch is probably just completely power creeping Babalon's existence. There's pretty much no reason to use Babalon if you have Nisroch. And also, he just has better mobility than Babalon, at least on turn 1, which is more relevant for the farming that he is capable of. But yeah, there's not too much to say about Babalon because, there's no reason to use her anymore. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Any other thoughts you'd like to add on that, guys? Let's say Harvey.
Alright. Yeah, this Xiwangmu came, way too late. If they came, any time before the Newsom Part 1, this might have been something worth talking about, but, Nisroch is, just, immediately power creeping her. It hasn't been, it's barely been, a week since this Xiwangmu came out, so... I mean...
even if we weren't looking at what's it called, the Nisroch's existence, I feel like she still wouldn't be that much to write home about, even with her Evo.
She's not, no. The Xiwangmu doesn't really fix her issue of being a bad mover and having no horizontal movement. And her ranges still really suck. It's all adjacent type shit. And that weakness gets exacerbated when you have no expanded movement.
Yeah. Okay, well, if that's all I have to say, anything else, guys? Milk?
No, I think it's just the same thing of she really needed expanded horizontal movement. She didn't get it. It's I guess it's interesting that you get 2 global 1-turn buffs. That's nice for after buff stuff, but if you have to use Halloween Babalon, that's kind of dead weight on your team. It's nice that she's a 4-star that basically gives a 5.4x multiplier, but I don't like the awkwardness of having to move her. If it was a little bit easier to use with the extra horizontal movement, it would be nice, but you have to play around slash range, you have to play around adjacent stuff. It's actually not really too strong of a Xiwangmu, to be honest. It's basically a nourishment type Xiwangmu. It's literally a 1.5 multiplier.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think the idea is to sort of split the difference between damage amp and charge fill, although in effect neither were really that impressive to begin with, so both being also kind of underwhelming does not really help this.
Well,
also
the thing about charge fill is that it's nice, but how much can you quantify it being good? You go a little bit faster. It's 4 turns versus 3 turns. How good is that? It's so at the end of the day, you're looking at basically a 1.5x boost in attack, and that's basically a nourishment type Xiwangmu. The prayer is nice so that you don't have to skill seed her, but then as you all said, Nisroch came out and it's just better, and screwed over those people who tried to invest her for the Mugen Wakan strat. So it's yeah.
I will point out that it is at least a half the amount of CP that you're getting. It's immobility plus ardor plus the strengthening effect. So that's around 30 at the end of each turn, which is more than some Enigma, so.
Pretty sure Nisroch just gives the same amount, doesn't he? It's arousal and immobility. And is that the only thing Tamsia gives?
He has one
Because-
turn of Ardor.
Yeah, well, yeah, he has that. And Ardor on charge, I guess.
Yeah, he has acceleration.
We're not going to talk about
That's
acceleration. We're just going to ignore that one part.
Okay.
But yeah, also for that point you brought up, Milk, about 2 different buffs he's giving, or she's giving rather, every turn. I mean, also Nisroch just gives more than that every turn, so I don't know. It's even in that respect, you can't even say Babalon's good post Evo.
I think it's funny that they slapped on when appearing prayer to one of the Evos that didn't actually need it, because outside of this Skivo, the rest of her rates are either already high, like at 90%, or they're irrelevant, because who cares about face start blessing to allies. They could have just not had the when appearing prayer and had the charm and heal at 10% higher, but I guess that
Prayer helps for so you don't have to skill seed her for nourishment and immobility, which is like her only okayish thing all this time, which is extremely sad since it's not that great. But at least you don't have to skill seed some obscure unit like Babalon now.
Well, if they wanted to flex tape prayer onto a unit, they could have picked a better unit than Babel. Also, I really wish the immobility buff lasted for more than one turn. I know the idea is that you're supposed to immobilize everyone, well, most of the team, and just have only Babalon move, but you know, immobility lasts 3 turns, so it really would have been nice if Babalon could have, say, dropped all of her buffs on one turn and then have someone who isn't immobilized take a turn to move while still benefiting from the honestly not that great immobility buffs. But yeah, it's a pretty shit Evo that is like it's not even that
I mean, I think it's fine because, like, you know, the whole point is that she's immobilizing everybody else. So, like, you know, if you're gonna leave somebody else out, it's kind of like, just don't use her at that point.
While I agree with the sentiment, it's also like, if she's gonna be moving and giving this board-wide thing, couldn't they have at least given her extended movement of some kind? Like, why is it board-wide if she only needs to continue moving in place?
Also, they really could have given her more one-turn buffs than just her 2 unique ones. There is, like, you know, there's a million other one-turn buffs they could have given her if she's going to be moving constantly. Because, as it stands,
Honestly,
she's going to be moving for next to dead turns.
Honestly, yeah, it doesn't even have to be, like, one-turn buffs. Like, any other miscellaneous buffs would, like, help her. Like, I think if she gave Anchor as well, that would be pretty funny, but also, like, it would make sense with, like, what she's doing, right? She's like,
Yeah, fattening people up or something.
yeah, weight gain in Housamo, imagine.
Hopefully
All
they
right.
don't release
Can
any
we-
other character like that. Yeah, sure, I get it. Alright, Zalgus, wait, I'm saying Zalgus, that's me who's something that. I'm so done with this unit, it's like, I don't even want to associate that, she was my topic. Alright, hey guys, hey everyone, Mega Oof for this banner. Hello, I finally have Legoshi taking on VA. Congrats on that, and not Nisroch out of 10. That is honestly the best summary you could give a winner. You can ignore the 10 minutes and just look at that one comment. Hello, Merry Post-Christmas. Merry Post-Christmas indeed by quite a few months. I don't know, that comment gives weird vibes. I'm gonna pretend I didn't see that. Anyways, we're gonna go on to the next topic now. So the next topic is going to be Andvari. Feel free to discuss Zalgus.
If you insist. Boy, Andvari, why does Life Wonders let you have 2 skill evos? Yeah, so Andvari got two skill evos for some reason. Right, so Andvari 4. He has always been in this weird kind of bad spot between his 5-star Beach variant, who is actually a very powerful unit, and also offers 10% more coin, and then his 3-star version, who offers the same amount of coin as his 4-star, but also without the cost of the 4-star, or the cost of this 4-star version. And also his own kit was comically lacking. He had, before his Evo, he had just 4 lines of text, and they all had really bad rates. You can see them right there, 70, 64, 50, and then, well, no rate. Yeah, so he got 2 skill blows. Sorry, Balor. Andvari stole it. So, first, his on-move crit skill got the first one. First of all, his on-move crit got buffed up from a not-so-great 64% to a much better 90%, so at least you can guarantee it now. Whether I would recommend you use him as a attacker or not, the answer is no, but whatever. He also got glint when moving to self and allies around him at a less great rate of 70%. Sure, I guess. And the important skill, on phase start, he gives allies around him crit. Also, he decreases enemy CP on hit, whatever. So, this first Evo is okay. It's actually probably the best part, but mainly for the crit to allies. You still don't want to be using the move slot on Andvari just for crit to self and glint to self and allies, but you can at least now give the powerful crit buff to allies without doing anything. Honestly, the rest of the Evo could be completely blank, and my opinion would be the same. Phase start crit in a wide area guaranteeable is perfectly fine. And his second Evo is to his when hit, counter with curse. This one is mainly defensive utilities. So his curse had its rate bumped up to 70% and had its range increased so that it afflicts adjacent enemies to the attacker. He also has Dazzle at a much better rate of 90%. That is the same range and timing, so a good chance of double afflicting enemies with Dazzle and Curse, which will reduce their damage to a measly 14%, so that's pretty good. However, because of the timing of the buff, or debuffs, whoever is attacking Andvari will hit him before the debuffs apply, so Andvari has no defense here, aside from the enemy being afflicted by some other enemy who hit him first at full power. He also applies Adamantine to one ally right behind him. Whatever, I guess. It makes him a decent protector for someone, I suppose. So if, for instance, Andvari and whoever he's protecting is targeted by a shot unit, Andvari is going to probably neuter their damage to 14% with Dazzle and Curse before applying Adamantine to his ally, which further reduces it to 6%. Honestly, I don't really think it's that useful. It's a bit overkill, but sure, I guess. And also he can now move to remove debuffs to self and allies ejection. Whatever, I still wouldn't use the move slot on him. Also, he now has a 3x multiplier against cursed enemies. This is not that useful, because his range is mediocre at a thrust range, and he can't proactively apply curse. He has to get hit first, and even if he does manage to get both crit and curse, it's not particularly impressive multiplier on their own, and also Andvari's base attack is really terrible at 3.4k. That's not what you want from an attacker. So yeah, this Evo batch honestly is not that great. The only real worthwhile part, in my view, is the crit to allies, like I said. It's the only real offensive utility he realistically has, and you could use it to supplement whatever farming comp you have going on by giving crit to whoever's board wiping, for example. A shame that it overlaps with Oscar's crit, but never mind. And also that Yule exists, but I mean, Andvari is giving you the coin bonus, so that's probably what you're using him for. The defensive utility would be okay, because, Dazzle Curse together is pretty powerful. If not for the fact that Andvari doesn't actually have any way of defending himself, because his debuffs apply after he has already been hit. If you attempt to use him as your primary tank, you're just asking for him to die unless you have someone to heal him back up from that one hard hit he'll take, or giving him defensive buffs or something to mitigate the initial damage he'll take. And that's not even getting into how enemies are not necessarily going to be lining up in a neat pattern for him to spread the curse and dazzle. So, if it's like a large map, for example, that's going to make it a lot harder. If it's all range enemies, they're going to be spread out probably, and, he'll be getting pelted with full damage attacks. So, you have to put in the work with the team comp to defend Andvari for him to defend other people, which is kind of like, at that point, you could just bring a better tank than that. Somewhat annoyingly, I think this double skill Evo was kind of wasted on Andvari, because his curse skill 1 is not that useful. They could have spent the Evo on either making it decisively useful or giving it to someone else on banner, which would be Balor, I guess, but never mind, I guess. And of course, it's always just an option to just bring Andvari 3 if all you're after is the coin bonus, and that 18 cost saving could be used to make a different team comp, or like farming team comp that's possibly better. But the face start crit is fine, I guess.
I mean, it's pretty easy to make a good team just with the guaranteed convenient range and timing. Pretty decent TAM. Like that. So.
But also, in the end, do you really want to bring Andvari 4 when you can bring Andvari 5? Because if you want the coin, you really want to bring Andvari 5. That's, like, probably one of the bigger issues.
I mean, I agree with that completely, but it's also like, this is obviously just a cope if you don't have Andvari 5. So, mind you, it is a pretty sympathetic cope. Like, it's not like he's always available, and it's not like he's available for redemption from the anniversary thing either. And it's not like an anniversary is permanent. So this is a very, very, very good Evo for those that are just starting, or those that have been extremely unlucky over the years, or those who refuse to pull for Andvari 5 for whatever reason, obstinacy or disliking him. Because, yeah, you do want that coin boost. But not everyone is fortunate to have Andvari 5. So this actually at least, makes him not just dead weight booster at this point. He's actually directly useful for farming in...
Just use Andvari 3.
I mean, he has utility now is the point with Andvari 4. There's an actual reason to use Andvari 4, when there pretty much wasn't, since he was identical to Andvari 3, and did not help farms. But now he does.
Thrust range.
Crit is fine. What? Calm down. That's not aggression. No. Jesus Christ.
I meant that Andvari 3 is blow and Andvari 4 is thrust range, so there is a slight difference.
Okay. Okay, well, I think, it does seem like the rest of his kit is sort of not traditionally helpful, but in the very least, it fits his Berserker archetype quite well, as in the guild of skirmishing, as Harvey would put it. You just bring him to face units one by one, alongside other teammates that you're bringing alongside with him, and he does seem to be well suited to protecting one unit that's directly behind him. And in that case, it can be good if those quests actually exist. Allegedly, they don't really exist, but when they do, you can use Andvari, even though you can also just use a board wiper.
Yeah, I mean, his 4-star is definitely more usable now. Even though his second Skivo is kind of garbage, in my opinion. But honestly, if I didn't have some Andvari, I'd probably just sub-slot his 3-star still and use that better unit. Yeah, crit's fine, and it's very good, obviously, but I think I'd rather just use a different unit that provides a bit more than just face start crit.
Yeah, but then he'd be needing a really good unit at that point. But if you are using Andvari 4 rather than Andvari 5, at that point you're probably not someone who pulls intentionally for good kits in the first place. So you might not even have that option. Milk? Hello?
Oh, that was a call for me.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. Yeah, you're a little quiet there, in my opinion. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really care to use this unit, even if I was didn't have Summer Andvari. I think I would also just be a person who just put Andvari 3 in the back. I'm not really a fan of this mixed role nonsense of moving and then doing this one hit stuff instead as well. I think it'd just be better if he focused on one aspect and did it well. Don't have anything else to say. Not sure. I honestly thought it was gonna be a good Evo just from how long it was when it first released, but he's still thrust rage unit, and it's whatever at that point.
Yeah, he's gotta live and die by the kind of quest that, would actually benefit from a skirmish unit. Because he doesn't have extended movement, so moving him for crits can be a pain. And, you know, his defensive utility is mostly just for one unit, which is also kind of extremely situational too. There are quests that could exist for him, but those same quests, they don't need units like Andvari. You could just use Board Wiper for them most likely. Unless there's an actual direct counter to all range units, which I wish they would do that more often. Sometimes they do that, but not often enough, clearly.
I don't know, I'm looking at your footage and it's like you're bringing like 2 other defensive units to like keep this thing alive, so I wouldn't really call him a decent skirmisher either because, you know. Alright, I'll just like drop it now, well, because I don't think I've said it before, but I took the name skirmisher from like it's like a League of Legends term, where basically it's a class of champion that like can survive in fights. And they usually play like front to back when it comes to like target priority, and they like sacrifice burst for like more consistent damage. So
well, in that sense, maybe he's not quite that skirmisher, but I'm sort of just taking this sense of he's a unit that's intended to do low range damage that you have to move one by one to individual encounters. If he was a solo carry, I'd call him a solo carry. Obviously, he can't survive by himself since he doesn't have much defense for himself. So the idea is you're supposed to just have him ferry around with other people who are also attacking at low range. Which, I mean, I don't know if that's ever helpful, but it would be nice if it could be helpful, but that's huge scope at that point. Generally, board wipers, calm clears, setups, heading every square. That's what you need. This one square at a time stuff, like, very non-existent.
Well, I do think that like they're incentivizing like the skirmishing playstyle with him with the second evo. He's just not good at it. It's like because he needs other people to like help him not die.
If he didn't need other people, I would call him a solo carry at that point, because, you know, if you can move around and kill everyone one at a time and you don't need to worry about dying, then you can just clear the quest with the one unit, right? So I get what you mean, though. It does not fit the League of Legends terminology, since individual units have much more of an impact there than I guess the team synergies. Well, that's one way to look at it. I'm sure team synergies actually matter in League of Legends a lot too.
Yeah. Okay. Can we like move on from this?
Yeah.
This
okay.
is...
All right, Zalgus, go ahead. Chat away.
Poor Andvari. I mean, you still have that powerful 5 stars or whatever. Which one?
Nisroch, I love him.
Nisroch, I love him. Heart eyes emoji. Wow, old host smoke kit design. Yeah, there's still a lot of units who are stuck in that hole, and I doubt they'll really get around to fixing that anytime soon. Indiana Jones never found anything this old. Hello, YouTube. Hello. I've never seen this person before. Hello, new person.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's new. Hello.
The off-banner curse hit me, so when I got the 4 stars, I stopped at 150 stones. Good luck, everybody else. Jack Frost, and then warning children crossing.
That's Bohemio.
Oh, that's what it's supposed to be. Sorry to hear that. Don't remind me that Babalon didn't get a buff. Yeah, it's sad that Kengo got a very powerful Evo and Babalon
Spoiler!
got
We'll get to that. But yeah,
love to see the... What? Go ahead.
Valor definitely needed one, yeah.
He did, yes. Love to see the overview of units. Yeah, I'm sure it's nice for a lot of people.
Well, it's fun for us too, so... glad to be of service to you guys, but it's also just for us killing time. So, let's go on. We're going to talk about Garmr next. This is going to be covered by Milkoso.
Hi, me.
Hi.
Yes. Okay, so Garmr is another Gen 1 unit that got 2 Skivos because he needed 2 Skivos. The first one is a buffed his evasion to allies beneath him to 70% rate. He gets a phase start evasion, which is nice. He can apply evasion to allies 2 squares to the left and right of him at 50% rate. Gets this one hit bind to hitting units at 80%, and he also gets arousal in himself when he's hit. The second Skivo is that he applies acceleration to himself and allies in a 2 square diamond radius at 100% rate. He gets extra movement expansion for 1 turn at phase start to himself. He also applies to enemies in thrust range bind after moving at 80% rate. And this is a weird effect, but he applies 2 types of acceleration strengthening after turn 3, so it's like turns 4, 5, and 6, to himself and allies in 1 square round. It's a pretty strong effect, where it's a 1 turn, 4 times damage if you have acceleration strengthening. If you have acceleration, and half damage taken if you have acceleration, and you get 16 CP to himself. Overall, he kind of plays like, I guess, Valentine Gunzo, maybe like Kotaro 5. I don't think Kotaro 5 is like that relevant, but it's a 4-star unit who's kind of doing something similar, so maybe that's nice. I tried him out, and it's nice that he gets this extra evasion, but the fact that you have to wait till turns 4 for like the strong effect to show up is not that great for stuff like farming. So it's more of like a long haul where you're playing around this bind evasion in like challenge quests, which is like usable. I just don't think it's like the most outwardly powerful thing to work with. So yeah, he's just gonna be a person who moves to get evasion to the team and get bind on enemies. It's nice to use in challenge quests, but it's not strong. That's it.
Yeah, I think this Evo... Honestly, that's a good comparison with Gunzo. I was thinking it was kind of unique with what he played, but apparently not at all. He might be actually one of the best evasion tanks in the game. But even with that said, no, evasion tanking as a concept isn't that strong. So I feel like you can only really rely on evasion tanking if you also bring maybe some extra guts and some healing on top of that, just in case you get like blown to bits by a single attack if something slips through. And there's only like one other unit that can take advantage of evasion strengthening, which, as you mentioned, is Kotaro 5, so it could be worth it just for that, or not. I don't know. It's Kotaro. But yeah, just like what's his face, Andvari, you're gonna use him for skirmishing ideally, just like a berserker, this sort of berserker type trope where you hit people 1 by 1. Not great with inconsistent or non-overlapping damage amps and slow build towards charge, but it is conceptually consistent at least. That's all I have to say. Zalgus, what do you think?
I think it's shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
What does it take 3 turns, or 4 if you want, for the acceleration strengthening to kick in? It's not even that strong. The defensive buff is also not that strong, and also he can't even. The acceleration will have already worn off by the time you can actually do the acceleration strengthening, unless you somehow have a CS up, which you could, in theory, have it if you moved him every turn. Which, why are you moving Garmr every turn unless you really want that tenacity and I guess evasion to allies, which is only 50%. It's very questionable. And we don't talk about trying to bring like Curran or someone else to feed his terrible acceleration strengthening, especially since it has to take 4 turns to rev up anyway. But yeah, I mean, I guess the evasion tanking is something to know, and also his bind is fairly reliable. Well, yeah, I'd say 80% is perfectly reliable, but it's not that great, and it's annoying because the skill evos that he was paired with was significantly stronger, even though that unit was already much stronger at base, and Garmr was pretty shit at base. and Garmr got 2 skill evos, and it still doesn't really. I mean, it makes him better, sure, but do I really want to use him? The answer is no.
Zalgus puts on the wig and yells, I'd like to speak to your manager. Jesus.
Yeah. I get it though. I think this is like a pretty funny Skivo in the sense that like it does reflect Garmer's like fighting style and like it is kind of lore accurate. But it's also like the least practical thing considering that he got 2 Skivos to work with, then we're just left with like this.
Yeah.
I was gonna say like, hey, you compare him with Willie or Jesus Christ, hold on. Okay. Yeah, you could like pair him with Willie, but then you'd be using Willie and he just kills everything already, so what's the point?
Yeah. I'll
also,
just.
there's like no comments for Garmr. Very
That's
sad.
fine. We'll just skip it. No one cares about Garmr. The Garmr propaganda is dead. But yeah, I just think that I don't even want to criticize Garmr because this is clearly not Garmr's fault, more so as it is just like a certain play style that Life Wonders keeps on making kits for, despite them not making any quests that need that play style. It's yeah, the skirmishing type thing, but just generally, pretty much all the Berserkers has the same playstyle, which is kind of insane if you think about it. Yeah, Life
Andvari 5 is different.
True. Surely Garmr's variant will also be different. Surely.
LOL!
Oh my god.
But yeah, not a great Evo, but that's not really the fault of this being poor Evo design for Garmr. It's just poor philosophical design for the gameplay style they're going for, given the kind of quests they release. It is lore accurate though, as you said. We can move on if you have nothing else to say, Harvey.
I don't have anything else to say.
Nice. Did you not talk about Milk? I'm sorry. Sorry, Milk.
Milk is the one who started it, though.
Yeah, that was his topic.
It was? Oh my god,
Yeah.
I'm losing focus. It's fucking boomer brain right now.
I just wanted to rush through it because we have like 10 Skivos, and like this is like
Yeah,
you can play this guy and he works. Like it's just not like it's not really that big of a deal.
You could also not play him, and it'll probably still work by using someone else.
Yeah, like Andvari's 4. Okay.
Jesus.
Yeah, let's just move on. There are 2 comments though, so enjoy, Milk.
Oh yeah, that's true. Berserkers really have a focus on being hit. Yeah, that's like their main skill, I think. Like Berserker, what is that? It used to be called
Yeah.
that. I remember being weirded out by the fact that Gunzo had it when he wasn't a Berserker, but yeah.
It's probably just for that one. What's it called? You're talking about the skill or the status?
The skill.
I forgot he had that skill actually. It's weird.
Yeah, his regular 4 has Berserker, because I guess he's like thematically Berserk with his power.
Maybe if he would
But
be
he's not actually
he
a
wasn't allowed to be in
Berserker.
guilds.
I'm pretty sure like only 2 people in the Berserkers have Berserker as a buff, and that's like Oniwaka. And
We're
like
not even part of
Quad
Berserkers. The fuck? Oniwaka's not even a Berserker.
No, he is, and he's
He
tagged.
was.
as a
Did you
Berserker.
forget he was one of the rankers at the very start of the game?
Oh
Wasn't
yeah, that. Didn't he
Before he
like only
died.
joined as a giant liar or some shit like that, and then he never appears with the Berserkers again?
Yeah, because
Because he's dead.
Kirito moment.
He's in the
Oh,
guild.
yeah, true. Right, I forgot. True. Me forgetting Oniwaka died. Rip and pepperoni.
Okay.
Okay, let's just move on. I got it. We're taking too long as Garmr Ball people. Alright, Tezcatlipoca. This is going to be covered by Abikais, I believe. Go ahead.
Yasuyori. Alright, so you might remember Tez 4 as this column had like this sweet spot gimmick where he would apply weakness in like this disjointed magic range at turn start. and in the middle of that magic range, he'd put taunt onto one enemy, and then he would deal double damage to that target. So effectively, he was like one of the first units to do like this bullseye mechanic, right? So Life Wonders has like learned their lesson after the travesty that was Summer Boogeyman. So in this Evo, not only is it no longer turn start for his weakness in taunt, but taunt has been spread out to also a disjointed magic range alongside weakness. So this means that not only can you actually move him around and he'll still be able to apply weakness to taunt, but he'll also always be doing like maximum damage as long as he's like positioned correctly, which is like 1 square away from the front line usually. So in exchange for losing his bullseye gimmick, he gets this new effect where he can apply this taunt weakening on phase start to every enemy, where if they have taunt, they basically lose 20% of their skill activation rate. And now he also has even on phase start, so you don't have to see them for taunt weakness anymore. So that's neat. I'd say this is actually like one of the more ideal skivos to get. Not only is he more convenient to use, but while they took away the bullseye gimmick, it wasn't like that cool to play with, to be honest. You just like did more damage to one person, which is like, alright. I actually think the taunt weakening thing is a bit more interesting, because it's you can like kind of break some challenge quests, because a lot of enemies like aren't built around like resisting taunt at all. Yeah, I kind of like the Skiva. It's not like the strongest, but it is like it can be fun to play around sometimes. Okay, that's it for me.
Thank you. Anyone else want to start first for the replies? Zalgus?
Sure. I like that it actually fixes his issues where you can't really move Tezcatlipoca, or you couldn't move him before because he would apply his his debuffs, but then if you try and move him, well, now you're shooting someone without your debuffs. So now he can move. There is like edge cases where you might want to be moving around to like spread it in a different area, but who cares about that? So I think it's nice that they fixed that and also expanded his taunt and weakness, so he's actually doing better damage in that range. I mean, his damage is still not that impressive anymore, but it's better. And then, of course, there's the edge cases of messing with enemy rates when normally they would be immune to certain or a skill rate down debuffs, but they're obviously not going to make them immune to taunt. So I'm sure that I'm not that sure that it will get use in future, but maybe it will if they pull their heads out of their asses with CQs.
Thank you. Milk?
I might be wrong, but like there has to be like better snipe units, right? In terms of damage. Like the Skivo just makes him like on par with his old peak damage, which was still less than Otahime. So like there has to be like newer snipe units that just like blow him out of the water, probably, right?
Mostly just
there
5 stars,
are,
I'm
but
pretty
like
sure.
the thing is that I guess you can pair him up with like different, I don't know. Other people can take advantage of his weakness, and you can ferry him around now. So I guess that's like part of the appeal of it. As a column clearer, yeah, he's pretty not. He's like okay. There's definitely better column clearers. That's why I'm like trying to emphasize that like his main draw now is the taunt weakening thing.
I think
Yeah.
As a snipe column clear, they're always just auxiliary trick shot ones. So it kind of makes sense that Tez maybe not as strong as other column players. But it's nice that he's still holding his own damage-wise for his entire column now, at least. With this evolution. So, like, he technically can't function as just a standalone comp player now, unlike before, pre-Evo. Were you gonna add something?
I wish they gave him a second Skivo instead of giving it to Garmr or Andvari. Not because I like Tez, but if this is like the direction that they're going with this kit, then I'd like to see where they would go further with it.
True. The skill reduction thing could be interesting, but no one's used new Lasso Tip yet for the same reason, so I've learned that probably no one's gonna bother. It's fine. So I'm more focused on the practical column carrying utility thing. I'm happy they finally fixed it so that it's, he's no longer just stuck on not one comp he spawns in. But yeah, he could be more flashy, because he did lose his unique bullseye mechanic. Like, if they gave him another Evo that gave him yet another amp for the center, that would be kind of funny. Okay, we're done with the unit. Go ahead and read the chat if there's any. Harvey, guys.
Thanks. That's definitely a step in the right direction for him, but he needs another buff still.
Oh, I love how you just repeated what we just said. Okay, yeah, let's just move on. It's fine. We are now going to be talking about Yasuyori. Switch the footage. This is going to be covered by Zalgus. Go ahead.
Right, so Yasuyori, that one Hikenshi who decided not to have a Valentine's ult. He was always a bit underpowered, his only real thing being the first turn CS burst damage, which was alright at best. Did they fix him? Not really, but whatever. So his crit on hit spread increased to all around instead of just adjacent, which is cool. Makes it much more flexible, but the rate only increased by a measly 10%, going from 30% to 40%, which is still unreliable as all hell. Yasuyori has nothing buffing his skill activation rates in his kit. They slap prayer on Babalon and other unit who I forget, but the guy who could actually use it doesn't get it, so that's cool. Yasuyori really would have appreciated prayer. Anyway, they also gave him the CS Evo thing. Well, not the actual CS Evos, which is the thing they said they were going to do, but anyway, if Yasuyori does not move while at 100 CP, he grants himself and allies around crit plus. Annoyingly, very annoyingly, Life Wonders purposely made it so that you could not stack crit plus and crit outside of the edge case where you have combo. And also annoyingly, Yasuyori can store his CS by CS locking himself. But this trigger requires him not to move, so you can't just have him be a crit bot forever, which would have been useful. Or rather, because this trigger requires you to be stationary, but to CS lock himself he has to move, you can't have him be a crit plus bot forever, which could actually be useful, because he has to CS to do that, but more on that later. You can take advantage of it somehow. But anyway, so Yasuyori can also now grant Ardor to self and allies around on move. Thankfully, this is at 100% rate, so more offensive utility that is at least reliable this time. You can actually stack it with crit, but annoyingly, you can't really stack it with the crit. Well, to stack it with the crit plus, you have to move and then have it go off on the next turn. Which, I don't know if you really want to be slow with it, but sure, whatever. And now the more interesting bits. After debuff, Yasuyori will remove debuff to allies, but not to himself. 60% rate is really disappointing. I really wish they would stop making these awful rates. It's important that Yasuyori doesn't remove his own debuff, actually, because otherwise it would completely defeat the purpose of his on-move CS lock. Well, actually it wouldn't, because by that time he's already... He's not going to be CSing that turn anyway, because it'll be the enemy turn, or whatever. It also basically gives him a bootleg on move, remove debuff to allies, because he CS locks himself on move. if only it wasn't a shit 60% rate for no reason. Reminder that Andvari's remove debuff on move is like 80%.
Is this
and they gave Yasuyori this. What?
Is this you glazing Andvari for?
No, it's me criticizing Yasuyori. But if you want to take it like that, sure. And now for the actual unique skill. When hit, Yasuyori has a atrocious 30% chance to remove all buffs from the attacker. This applies after he's taken damage, so he could still get blown up if it's a like particularly buffed up attacker. But Yasuyori actually has defenses for that, and also guts. So unlike Andvari, he can actually take a hit. So remove all buffs is a pretty rare effect. It's even rarer to have it sort of on demand. Our other choices are mainly on leave or some other limiting factor like on CS or on CP 100, or it's on a turn clock, or it's on Alice's on move, which also purges all debuffs from them. The only unit we have that has a free remove all buffs is actually Christine 4, who has a 70% on move, remove all buffs in a long slash range. I'd actually forgotten about this until I looked it up. But she incidentally also has it on leave to the entire board, so she's, I guess, pretty good at that. So in theory, this could be good. It would make Yasuyori a pretty dangerous tank for the enemies, because he'd just remove any regular buffs as soon as they hit him, and he actually has the bulk to take hits. But the elephant in the room is the atrocious rate. At 30%, you are not likely to be relying on this. And again, Yasuyori has no innate method of increasing his own skill rates. You could attempt to stack all skill rate boosters on him, but it's kind of a pain to do that because he doesn't start with any. And he'd still only be at 70% with Seeds, Prayer, Glint, and Concentration. I mean, I guess you could also add the affiliations, but it's a lot of investment for I don't know when it would really be useful. Anyway, back to the Crit Plus. I mentioned that you can't really keep it consistently throwing Crit Plus out because he has to CS. Well, you could always CS lock him with either Yugolanak or the Licht Furufumi CS lock AR. Doing this, and also not moving Yasuyori because he still has to be stationary, will let him bestow Crit Plus repeatedly, but also potentially crit for a nice meaty 20% multiplier. Unfortunately, Yasuyori constantly removes debuffs, so you'll probably have to keep reapplying the Crit Plus or the CS lock constantly, unless Yasuyori gets more debuffs slapped on him from something like from the enemy or some other teammate. But it is a potential strategy to just have someone keep CS locking Yasuyori so he can provide his rare attack buffs. You could even have whoever you want to be buffed by Yasuyori be the person who is CS locking him if you have the AR. But that's like a kind of niche strategy, I guess. I don't know if I could really be bothered to plan around that. But anyway, Yasuyori's Evo...
Both of my budgets use Eagle Knock and Food for me there.
Yes, I see that you're doing precisely that, so that he's...
Give the illusion that he's good.
who are you buffing here?
Who am I buffing? I'm buffing Ina both sometimes.
You're not even...
is so bad.
You're not buffing a damage dealer. Also, you're not even doing it half the time.
I invested in him, he's fine.
because you keep moving Yasuyori.
Listen, I need to move it to showcase his shitty personal CS lock and other effects when he moves, so it's fine.
Sure, I guess. Well, as you can see from that, it's a hard thing to really play around because you have to keep him stationary. It really limits who you can really pair him with, and you have to keep moving behind him if you want to try and take advantage of that, so it's kind of a awkward thing. Anyway, this Evo is not that amazing. It makes his CS burst bigger because he gets Crit Plus to go with it, and it lets him continue supporting on his CS turn, unlike previously where he dropped all offensive support if he CS'd. And he has that utility of removing debuffs from allies and potentially removing all buffs from enemies, but it's really hamstrung by the garbage rates on it, 60% and 30%. Are you kidding me? If they were actually reliable, I could see it being somewhat useful, but with a base rate of 30%, no way. They really should have slapped the prayer on him and not Babalon. Ugh. Very disappointing.
But it's not lore accurate if you had prayer. I don't know what prayer means anyways. Right. I wonder if they regret giving him that turn start remove debuff to self. Because I think it'd be a lot more interesting if you could move him and then keep him CS locked for the next 2 turns while he gives crit.
He was the first on-demand charge staller, so it's, I think it's fine to have one unit like this. There are units that do it better, well, questionably, like Jurong and Krampus and Wakantanka's recent dancing variant. But, Yasuyori still has a pretty distinct way of stalling his own charge, which he needs to move rather than not move or some shit like that.
I suppose. I guess you could pair him with Mononobe. Because every 3 turns he cucks phase and turn start effects, so you don't have to deal with the remove debuff thing.
It's very specific.
Yeah. It's not that specific. Well, it's not that specific. I was thinking about it when I said the stationary effect, because Mononobe works really well with characters who have that trigger timing.
Yeah. Anything else?
I don't care too much about the debuff and buff thing. Okay, yeah, that's it for me.
Yeah, that's fine. Hello, I know you're there.
Did we talk about the gap thing?
The gap thing? No, we didn't yet. I know what you're talking about. Go ahead and tell them about it.
Yeah, so basically, if stationary is a timing that activates after moving and after not moving, it's basically move phase end. So basically what that means is that if you are at less than 100 CP at the start of the turn, and you just manage to charge Christmas Yasuyori's CP to 100 by the time the if stationary timing happens, it should be possible. I haven't tried it myself.
It is. I've seen a few times while testing out.
Yeah, it should be possible to actually get that crit and crit plus if you manage to get his CP up when that if stationary timing happens by buffing him to get his after buff CP effects and just throwing a bunch of CP at him during the move phase. So yeah, that's a thing.
Honestly, it's not as niche as you would initially think, because he already built so much charge in the first place, but it's always conveniently never quite enough to be at full meter. So it just happens that he can sort of stack both crit and crit plus natively a lot incidentally like that.
Yeah. I don't really like this Evo just because I don't really like this if stationary timing in general. It's just generally really awkward to me to play around. But I think I could see potential if somebody wanted to try farming with it or needed the really high burst damage. So this is an okay Skivo to me. I have qualms with it, but it's not really that strong, to be honest.
I agree. I didn't really give my thoughts on it, but at least I can add that since everyone said pretty much everything. On paper, it looks like there could be a lot of damage after you play it right, but in practice, it's kind of just annoying to have everything overlap in the end for that strategy. And there's probably easier ways to do it, which there is definitely one topic that we'll be talking about that does have it at a much more convenient timing.
It's called Yusamduzias.
Honestly.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Looking at the footage where 2 of your units are skill locked.
Look, this is what happens when I'm investing everything in charge fill and I don't have anything left over for fucking Tanotomo. The fucking Tanotomo attacks. Hate that bitch. It happens. I mean, I think the last discussion we had, I also had a bunch of people getting skill locked because of that fucker. Whatever. I can still fine enough. But let's just move. on to the next topic if nothing else has anything to say, though.
They really should have made the crit rate not 40%.
Magic range, multi-rolling.
If you're gonna buff it like that, don't. It's like insultingly low buff. Whatever. Where were we? Yagolanak. There you go.
The comments are getting smaller and smaller. Don't worry, guys. We will eventually reach the new semester topics. Bear with us. All right, moving on to the next evolution. Choji. I will be covering this topic, I believe. All right. So this unit has, he has 2 Evos, but only one of them is new from this batch. But it does feel like quite a lot was shoved into it. And I'll give you an idea of what it is. His unction rates have been improved, and it has increased its range to be encircling, excluding behind him. He now has a what's called a subtractive, or a charge emptying effect. Whenever he attacks someone, it's kind of a bit better than coin flip. He can heal himself a bit more now at a coin flip rate, and he has a chance to heal. Well, not a chance. Every 3 turns for the first 9 turns, so just 3 times in essence. He can an effect will go off that he bestows to allies where they can heal themselves for 30% of their max HP. So this is the first unit in the game that has this new skill paradigm where you are healing not based on given a flat amount of health, but you are actually healing based on a percent-based amount of health. So that is quite unique. We'll see another unit has also received this among the new semester batch, but for now, Choji's is what we'll be talking about. And lastly, he received 1 more damage amp where the more health he is at, the more this damage amp increases to the allies. And it is, yet again, within this cook range of encircling around him, excluding behind. So, overall, his new and modified roles. He is an improved team healer by quite a bit. He has so many healing effects that it's, like, honestly, like, more than 80% of his kit. He has heal self base start. He has heal whenever he moves to adjacent units. He has heal whenever he is, what's called, every turn start. For every 3rd turn to himself as well as allies beside him, or rather encircling him, actually behind. He has nourishment, which can also heal in that same range. He has healing whenever he attacks to allies adjacent. Unction can also heal over time. In that same special range, he can heal himself whenever he attacks at a coin flip. And then he has that percent-based healing every 3 turns for the first 9 turns. And then he also has Blessing on his himself as well as the teammates around him on charge. So that is a lot of healing effects. And, he could make a good case for a dedicated healer in your team now with all this total conglomerate of shit. And, he is not just an exclusive healer, it's just that's what he does notably best at most diverse timings. But he can function in more relevant teams because he does actually have some decent amount of damage amp as well as team tanking. For his damage amp, he does have nourishment as before every 3 turns, but, nourishment lasts for 3 turns, so at least beyond turn 3, it should just be up permanently if you're not moving your team. And for, what's it called? That new effect where he, if he's at more health percent filled, he's giving a larger amp. That is conveniently going to work out for him because, again, he just has a massive amount of healing to his entire team, including himself. And in order to ensure that he's not taking as much damage, he also still has that unction effect, which is nice. That has improved in terms of rate and range as well. And lastly, in terms of his modified roles, he also has the ability to deny charge. Kind of. It's more like it rectifies a previous effect where he actually build the enemy's charge meter, which was guaranteed at 10 CP whenever he hit someone, but now he sort of like mitigates that in the opposite direction with 20 CP, but only at a 60% rate, so he could technically fill the enemy's charge faster, but it's a bit weird. But yeah, that's just more of a course correction from what he originally had. Outside of this, he does have the unmodified role of being a team charge filler, just like a bit of CP every time to allies adjacent. What is the time for that? Turn start every turn. Yeah, that seems so strange. So for recommendations, I'd largely just say he's good for general purpose quests, being a primary healer as well as dabbling in both defense and offense, and not in like a too shitty way either. It's a decent amount of damage and defense. However, it's probably not enough for like, you know, actually amazing tanking. So you probably want like a main tank alongside Choji if you really want to get a massive amount of heals and massive amount of damage amp. His damage amp is also, you know, maybe not the greatest just by itself. It's good. It's like what's called 2 times 3, 1.5, which is like what's called 3.5ish or something, or just 3 rather. But he could use some more damage amp and damage healers as well. Lastly, even though he is kind of dabbling a lot, he does not have any sort of mobility or debuff mitigation, so you may want to bring that alongside him for the kind of teams he specializes in, which is the, you know, longer endurance type teams. But yeah, that's it for this topic. Milk, please go ahead. What do you think about this dude?
I actually like using Choji. Like, I think he's nice to, like, you know, add extra, like, defense when you just want a unit who, like, doesn't need to move and, like, do both, like, healing and defense. And, like, Choji having healing and unction is, like, kind of like a no-brainer, like, 3-star, 4-star unit to use. So this Skiva is nice just because it makes things more convenient, like the unction range, like the extra healing. I'm not like too enamored with the percent-based healing stuff. It's not really like the thing that is like particularly like interesting right now. I think I was talking to Harvey about it before, but it's good for like people having to meet their HP thresholds again. Like if you have like a percent-based like skill activation thing.
That is a good point.
Thing that like I used to think it was like supposed to be useful for was like accounting for affiliations having like, you know, 40k HP
right
units, but now it's like actually maybe it's like for people who are like Christmas Fushi, you want to be in a certain like HP range, and then this percent-based healing is nice for that. The 2 times free attack is pretty nice. I don't think anybody's gonna be like farming with Choji, but like I would definitely like my Skivos to basically give like a free double attack compared to nourishment.
Compared to Babalon's 1.5 times on immobility.
Yeah, because you have to like move for that too, right? And like Choji
just exists and
doesn't. Yeah. Like the only time you'll get like reasonably not get that is if you're actually like playing defensively, or like you get screwed over by confusion or something. So this is nice. Honestly, somebody in the team might have a Choji bias. Like, why am I seeing this unit like as much as like other people compared to some other people?
You mean in the
honestly,
like, you know, the Christmas Choji Skiva, which is like actually kind of decent,
right.
And then like his appearance in ARs when we have like much hotter people in general.
Yeah, Choji's
okay,
a weird case. He's not even important in the story, but he does show up a lot for a lot of unimportant things.
Designated cook.
yeah, he is the cook, so he's just there like all the time. Unfortunately.
yeah. So
Step aside,
that's my
Choji.
thought on it.
Nisroch is on the scene.
I mean, he doesn't really heal, so. But yeah, we can finally have some other units that can showcase for that. Anyways, thanks, Melka. Any other thoughts, Zalgus?
I kind of would prefer if the restore HP at turn start was, instead of every 3 turns, that they normalize it to 10% every turn. because that would be, you know, it wouldn't be like bursts of healing, it would just be sustained healing, which is normally what you probably want better, but it's fine, I guess.
I think burst healing is just more interesting to play around now. Even though I do agree that like consistent, smaller healing is probably more ideal in most situations. Have you guys tested if like the percentage max heal works with healing strengthening, like from Valentine Gabriel?
I literally have a fucking Saturnus in this footage to showcase it, and it does. So he'll be healing like a bit under 50% with it, but yeah, that goes to show that the percent-based stuff is also affected by increased recovery.
Well, that's not. I was talking about the other healing status.
The other healing status is for HOTS, right? Heal over time. That's not a heal over time. What he's bestowing. That's just a skill that applies every turn start. Not at the end of
Okay,
turn.
I just saw it.
Yeah.
Okay. He's chopped. SMH.
Do you know if it applies before or after his attack up?
Before or after his attack up?
Suppose he were below 100% HP. Will he heal first and then give 2k or
I don't
2
think
times?
so. The acquired skill should always be applied after everything else. So.
Okay, well that's a shame.
I thought it was before.
Is
for
it?
skills?
I keep on forgetting between equips and acquired skills.
I thought
for
skill
skills,
based
I'm pretty
you
sure
go, Harvey.
it's after, because otherwise it would work when like Edzamna and Uncinchilodal like are paired together, but it doesn't work.
Oh, true.
Oh, okay.
Because yeah, the crit spread, it doesn't work when
Yeah.
it's Edzamna.
Anyways, you know, Choji has plenty of other healing and also damage mitigation, so it's somewhat unlikely he's going to be going below 100% if you're just using him for farming at that point. I mean, there are better against farmers, but Choji's not the worst choice, since guaranteed out of the box. Quite nice.
This is a very mesmerizing team you have here. Not one, but two terrible units.
I mean, in reality, it's just
crazy.
Saturnus is just for that one fucking amp to showcase it. Does work on him. And I don't know, Labes there to be the other column clear. Yig is really the important part so that I can acquire enough damage without fucking taking too long waiting for the enemy to attack the right units.
50% Ardor though.
Yeah. Anywho, I think we are good on Choji. Everyone said their thoughts on him, right? Wait, did you say your thoughts on him, Harvey? Yeah, you did. Alright. I am responsible for this topic, so I will look at those 3 chat comments. Choji, OG chef, chef emoji, chalk face. Everyone loves these evos. We're moving on.
I think it's more of a look of despair rather than shock, to be honest, but you know.
It's a pretty good evo, but you know, it's, you know, just suffering from tank buys. Maybe there's some hope to be had because they did release endurance quests as farms. So I'm looking forward to more of those being released as a staple. Hopefully it's not just a one-time few semester thing, because tanks being in farms is quite exciting to have. Maybe it's not, you know, making the game more difficult, but at least it increases the diversity of these shit quests we already forced to play. Choji is cool. That is that will be reviewed later, peer-reviewed. I don't think that is necessarily factually correct, but we will see.
Why did you use this icon for Choji? I just noticed. Like, I saw it earlier and thought, what the hell is this supposed to be? And then forgot about it.
What icon?
Potato side-eye.
Zalgus, that's our internal server chat. People don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. A Daichi, potato, same thing. Anyways, we're moving on to Aizen. This topic is going to be covered with all his evos by Harvey Kais. Go ahead.
There's one Evo. Right. So, Jamboree Aizen. Let's see. Right. So, his main role is being able to suck up like 3 debuffs in a square around him. So he's like one of the first like actual viable debuff cleansers in the game, right? And then they released Pazuzu and then Manquist Snarl, who like had their own merit. Pazuzu was like run a lot because he was easy to like plug into teams, and you could just like leave him here, and he'll automatically remove debuffs because it's a global status and you don't have to work for it. And Manquist Snarl was the same way, but like with an extra turn. But you know, he also did other stuff. So Aizen hasn't seen a lot of like use as of late, but this Skivo is like, this might change that because it's a really strong Skivo. It doesn't change the actual skill that is evoing, but it does add like a shit ton of other stuff. So we'll start with like the fact that he gets prayer now, which is like kind of a big deal because his debuff removal is at this 80% rate. So with prayer, it's actually more guaranteeable than before. He also gets this turn start vanity at also 80%. So with prayer, it's 90%. For this, and this actually should, correct me if I'm wrong, but it should happen after he already removes debuffs, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's just based on the skill orders, so it will not interfere with his removal.
Yeah, I was just making sure. So yeah, this makes him like actually a decent unit to run, even if you're not specifically cleansing debuffs off of other people, because he has a lot of after debuff effects. He's got this adamantine at 60% to itself and allies, also tenacity for himself, and crit plus for himself. And he also gave him this after debuff protection to allies, so he's actually like really tanky, and he can make your team a lot tankier too, just like without doing much, as long as they're next to him. And the last thing that they gave him was this after debuff, restore 3k HP to allies adjacent to him at this 20% rate. It's a bit of a meme to have it this low, but if it does proc, it can be pretty clutch. 3k is a lot. If you're not using affiliations, it's like 30% of like someone's health bar. So they didn't like give him any more incentive to like move, but all around this is like a pretty cracked Evo. I think he was like okay as a debuffer before this, but like honestly, he's probably like the best 4-star debuff cleanser if you do decide to play around his ranges. Like he has like a lot of healing and tankiness, and he's a lot more self-sufficient even without that, or even if you don't like counter any enemy debuffs. Okay, that's all my thoughts.
Awesome. Why don't you add on milk?
Yeah. I always thought like Jamboree Aizen is like still actually kind of decently recommended for debuff cleansing, even with like Pazuzu and Manquist Snarl. So this is nice. Like it's kind of like the stupid Halloween Azathoth like Skibo, where it's like, yeah, I don't care about, you know, after like waiting for the battle to do after debuff. I'm just gonna give it to you for free with this vanity thing. It's like stupid. And then you get the extra protection on top of it, and it's like, okay, whatever.
He was like balanced, quote unquote, to only have many good effects for if he's rarely debuffed, whereas team is. But now it's just like, now you're getting a bunch of personal damage, a bunch of a charge fall for himself, and just holy shit, that's like adamantine, tenacity, and protection. Like, come on, this is a 4-star we're talking about.
Well, tenacity is just himself. The protection is not himself.
Yeah, it's to complement each other,
yeah.
But just by existing, he has both.
But yeah, what else do I have to say about this? I kind of like this meme 3k HP healing. It's not good. It's just like funny to me. This gambling big HP. It's stupid.
It's giving.
It actually
Howling
makes
Abisu.
sense, I think, because now it's like you still have some incentive to run him against like heavy debuffing like team comps if the enemy has it. Not that it was not that he was worse at it with this Skiba, but like there is like that extra incentive now to like fish for that heal if you want.
Well, I mean, like, the only time you do use Jamboree Aizen is, like, on that, so, yeah. I mean, I guess you could, like, technically not use him. I mean, technically use him in a quest that didn't have, like, a lot of debuffs, but I kind of don't see it, to be honest, even with this Skibo.
Yeah, I mean, he was really good even before Evo. I know people are saying Pazuzu and all that stuff or whatever, but he was still always in the back of my mind because, 3 debuffs to scoff at it with all these strong fights was, it's good, for sure.
He also did it before it was cool.
Yeah, but then he got Halloween as a sauce, and now he's just like, he's not even a debuff mitigator alone, he just does a bunch of things just for having a good kit in principle. He kind of fills almost every role that's necessary for like a challenge quest team. He has, defense, he has personal damage, he has healing. The only thing, actually, and debuff mitigation, which is usually something that's excluded for tanks. The only thing he's really lacking is like mobility because of his self-immobilizing thing, and of course his own damage. While nice with crit is not something you're going to be dealing damage to far away units, and
his range also sucks.
Yeah, this is what I'm trying to say. But for the most, he kind of fills every role that's needed all on his own. I wouldn't call him a solo carry, but he kind of just like is a do-all support unit if you slap him on. So very good, Aizen. Mind you, he's so weak to skill lock and double lock, I believe, so you may want to bring extra mitigation just because of that. But Aizen is definitely one of those units who may actually want to avoid bringing because he does a bit too much. Who knows? Do you have any other thoughts, Zalgus?
Yeah, I was going to say, so this is where the other prayer went. That could have went to Yasuyori. But at least, unlike Babalon, he actually makes good use of it. Babalon does not. So I can accept that they gave Aizen this because he has his rates that he wants to actually boost spread across several skills, unlike Babalon where you're just kind of buffing Blessing, which is like, it's even the point.
So you don't have to skill seeder for Ardor and Nourishment, but yeah.
Good prayer. Well, yeah, but those were already guaranteeable. Not that you should skill seed Babalon because Babalon,
now you don't ever have to, I guess. Hooray! Anyone who ready to can take the L.
Jeez. Yeah, prayer is quite nice on this character. He has a lot of weird proc rates.
Okay, we can move on. Thank you for that, Harvey. So please read out the. There's nothing. Let's just move on. Guys, everyone loves Aizen. It's true. They're just speechless from how amazing he is. All right, let's just finish off with these evos. I promise you, this is the last set for the evos, and then we can move on to a new semester. So, let us finally talk about Kengo Takabushi. This is going to be covered by Milkosmo. Go right ahead.
So he gets a Skivo where his one-hit TP got buffed by 10% proc rate, and he gets this stupid after-moving effect where if he's under 81%, he gives concentration to self and allies adjacent. If he's under 51%, he applies crit to himself and allies adjacent at 90%. And then he also has another after-moving effect. If he's under 11%, he applies crit ++ to allies adjacent. So not himself, but just allies at 100%. And the way these like conditionals are written is that he can like trigger all of them if he's like under 11%. So he's now just a very stupidly strong buffer. There you go.
Yeah, thank you for making it quick. We can reiterate that he's still a solo carry and all that. He's still that, but he's actually stronger as a solo carry now, and not just because of the LIM, and not just because of the extra damage to himself, although that helps, but they also act as additional amps for him to reroll for guts, so it's just like this Evo gives him new rolls, and these new rolls, just in principle by what they are, just strengthen his other existing rolls too. But yeah, before he didn't amplify anyone except on charge with his limit, which is just like level 1 doesn't really do any amp, but now he's increasing damage by up to 50 times to his allies out of nowhere when he's at like below 10%, which is like, it's, if you haven't played Kengo before, I mean, you can see in this one, it's like very easy to get him under 10%, even without Yig. He just reduces his HP a lot. He has no damage mitigations, but he can just safely take a lethal hit from guts. So yeah, he's not balanced.
They gave the unit that was best on banner already the best Evo.
As a soft effect.
Yeah, this is a fucking disgusting ass Evo. And I've never seen this many amps come from one skill evolution. This is like, what? Where did this come from? And like, why did they give it to him?
Out of nowhere, he's like the best local amp in the game now. Well, there might be some competitors, but you didn't even have any amps before, so it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck?
I forgot to say that there's like a unit who reduces HP nowadays, which also does like amps, and it's Yig. So if you want to like get him to reduce his HP faster, use Yig. There you go.
Yeah.
Also, with concentration being a proc rate booster for the guts rolling, it's just disgusting. Get him out of here. I don't want to see him anymore.
It's kind of funny how this is the best Evo, but we're done with it so fast. It's actually just extremely good. It's kind of hard to elaborate on it because it's so simple in the way it's good. Big damage amp for himself. Big Ren Vest. Sorry, what?
All the 4 stars except Aizen get shit, and the most powerful unit on banner, Kengo, gets the most powerful Evo, and then the other 5-star, who was not that great, Babalon, gets nothing.
I mean, I can't even be mad anymore because they've already done this quite a few times for 5 stars and sometimes even 4 stars.
Maybe you should be.
I mean, let's be honest. It's just like it's like after Azathoth and like even Tenlos, it's like I sort of expect these completely out of tune sort of what's called Evos that don't even give a shit about game bounce. They're ridiculously powerful and they're funny to have, but I don't know. It's dumb. It's fucking dumb.
There has to be like multiple people doing these Skivo ideas, right? Like there's no way that the same person who gave Tezcatlipoca that Skivo was the same person who did this Skivo.
The person who did this Evo, I'm telling you, they're the same ones who designed Kiyoma and Kern. Fucking, I'll get them out of here. Anyway, this was quite quick, which I can appreciate. You can read out the 2 chats, Milk, and then we can finally move on to a new semester after we've been edging everyone for way too long.
Yay, Yoo-hoo winners keep winning. I left and y'all already did Garmr. He was the only one that matters for skill Evo, not gonna lie. But this Kengo Evo is okay, I guess.
Some people live in a different world, don't you think?
I guess different people have different priorities. That's all I say.
Maybe it's more like they use Garmr, or like they like Garmr, and like Garmr deserves the Skivo, and Kengo like deserved it less. I don't know.
That's true.
Guys, you forgot to cover Barong's Skivo. Oh, that actually reminds me. I felt like Barong might benefit from Yig now, like his regular. Oh, well, whatever. Maybe
it's
not
really not worth using because his amp is not even that impressive to begin with. Nowadays, it's not anyways. Not worth reducing his health for. Yeah, Barong definitely needed an Evo, but everyone else needed an Evo more, so, well, except for maybe Aizen. Rip. Aizen
and Kengo.
Kengo.
True, Barong got his best skin. Are we talking about that Saiyan nonsense?
I mean, I like it better than his other Saiyan skin for his 4-star. But this is not a discussion about Barong, so let's just move away from this cope.
This ain't about him.
So yeah, this ain't about him. Let's just move on. You got one more comment, and then we can finally move on to thingy.
No, that was the comment that I read.
Oh, I see. All right.
Yeah.
Finally, thank you, Milk, for making that brief. We will now finally talk about the new semester topics. Woo! Everyone's favorite. We'll be starting off with Nisroch. If you cannot pronounce that, just call him Nisroch. This is going to be covered by Zalgus. Go ahead when you're ready. Do you want me to stay on the 3-star or move directly to 4-star?
I didn't write notes for his 3-star.
Okay,
Whoops.
that's fine. That's fine.
Well, just by looking at it, he functions roughly the same, so it's fine. So Mr. Lantern Jaw of Justice, Nisroch here, sponsored by Life Wonders and apparently the Entertainers, judging by the logo on his smock. So he is primarily a offensive buffer with some dubious design decisions, which we'll talk about. So the bulk of his kit mainly takes place in one formation, so let's talk around that for a moment. He has Ardor to self and allies globally when appearing. This is pretty poop, because that means it only lasts one turn, which is bad. It should really be attack up, because that would fit with his other buffs better, but we'll get onto that. Face start glint, sure. Also, face start snipe range pole by 2 squares. I'm not exactly sure what this is going for, but there's no reason not to have it, I guess, because he'll probably want the enemies as clustered as possible to, spread his allies' reach, or make sure the enemies are within his reach. He also has this acceleration on miss to allies left and right, which is really questionable because that's completely outside the rest of his kit. So I don't see what that is for. Right, on to the actual bulk of the kit. When appearing, movement expansion in all directions to self. This will last one turn, not that it matters, it's just to get everyone into the position that he wants. We were complaining, everyone else was complaining earlier about Babalon and about how she doesn't have a horizontal movement expansion, or any movement expansion at all. And she's supposed to be the one to ferry everyone and then immobilize them, and she can't do that. But Nisroch fixes that by just giving himself movement expansion, so he can do that, at least on turn 1 anyway. But that should hopefully be the only turn he needs. So the position that Nisroch wants is he needs to be behind whoever he's supporting, because all of his buffs apply in slash range. So potentially he can support the entire team if they're in slash range in front of him. And this is where it maybe becomes questionable. Well, it depends on your team comp, really. But for the next few parts, assume that every time I'm referring to allies, I'm referring to them in slash range in front of Nisroch. So when he moves, he grants immobility to self and allies. So unlike Babalon, who remains able to move, Nisroch also cannot move. So Nisroch is just going to move and completely immobilize potentially your entire team for 3 turns. This is a questionable design decision to strip your team of the move slot, but it's not something you can't play around. You can team build around it. There are units who function without having to move, so it's not the worst thing. But yeah, because of that, you're going to need to design a team that can actually handle 3 turns of not moving, whether that's being able to just kill the enemies before they get the chance to do anything, or they have the defenses to withstand attacks, because you're not going to be able to move around to evade them or whatever. But yeah, on miss, Nisroch applies a number of buffs: Arousal, Vigor, Concentration, Limit, and very bizarrely, Poison Reversal. The Vigor, Concentration, and Limit are on a rotation where all the buffs line up on turn 3. Vigor, Concentration, and Limit in that order. This is why I said that his when appearing buff should be Attack Up, because then Attack Up would actually be able to line up with them and then give that massive or pretty big burst on turn 3, but instead you just get Vigor and Ardor and then it just falls off. So it's kind of dumb, but I guess it makes your turn 1 decently comparable to some other buffers, but but yeah, assuming you're full HP on turn 3, which you probably won't be because you can't move, this will add up to a 10.56 multiplier, which is... it's okay, but I don't know if I would really say that's great, because you have a 3-turn wind-up that requires you all to be stunned. And meanwhile, Poison Reversal is, like, it really stands out. It's really another elephant in the kit. It's because Nisroch has no method of poisoning anyone. He literally cannot trigger Poison Reversal on his own. It's very bizarre, and I can only assume this is some kind of lore hoo-ha. I didn't read into Nisroch's lore, so I can't confirm that. But, yeah, so it's kind of a weird dead skill in his kit, although there are ways to take advantage of it, but I'll get onto that. Anyway, he has decent CP build-up because he has immobility and arousal, so you might see his CS, which is combo to self and Ardor to allies in that slash range. It's going to be level 1 Ardor, probably, but sure. He's not going to have applied Ardor anyway, so... the arousal and poison reversal rates aren't that great, so the combo could help him fish for it twice. So, yeah, I guess that's fine. If only it wasn't thrust range, which is not the greatest range, because he still wants to be sitting behind everyone, so unless there's someone right in front of his face, he's gonna have a hard time actually getting it off, but whatever. Anyway, I would say his kit is a little questionable, because we have units who can achieve a much higher buff threshold without this wait 3 turns to ramp up, while also being immobile thing that Nisroch is going with here. If he could actually self-activate the Poison Reversal, it'd actually be a lot better, because his numbers would be so much better, and he'd also be providing a defensive buff, while also doubling the offensive buff power. Luckily for Nisroch, there is an AR that does this for him. It's the Astaroth Bale AR. If Nisroch is stationary, it will deal poison in a massive range that easily covers his own slash range, and also gives regeneration, which is good because he'll want a bit of sustain. The base rate's at 8%, so it's perfectly usable, and Nisroch is going to be stationary by turn 2 anyway, because he's going to be immobile. Unfortunately, it means he can't use it turn 1, but that's fine. You can take what victories you can get. You could also use Haster or Yig, I guess, but those both have problems with using them, because Haster is going to start applying Stigma to your team by turn 2, and given that you can't move, that might be a risk that you don't want to take. And Yig is the same thing. He's going to pretty quickly drain your team's HP to very little while you can't move, although you can negate that with healing reversal, but at this point we're getting pretty deeper into team building. But yeah, those two could work if you really want to take advantage of it. There is also Shenong, I guess, but he already applies poison reversal anyway, and he wants to move, so never mind him. But yeah, Nisroch. He's kind of a flawed buffer, I would say. He incurs a pretty big penalty, which isn't impossible to build around. There are plenty of units who you could use who do things without moving, but it's still a pretty big limiting factor on who you can build him with. On move, I would say, is usually one of the more powerful trigger timings, so completely removing that removes a lot of units you could use. And you don't necessarily have to immobilize your entire team. Much like I was saying with Babalon, you could like immobilize like 2 people plus Nisroch and then have someone else who could move, but it feels like he's designed to, you know, immobilize everyone and then have them all shooting down all columns. Also, his buff power is pretty inconsistent. Well, it's consistent in that it goes the same every time, but it's inconsistent in that it's like a sine wave. It goes up and down. Every
it's more
fourth
like a
turn,
triangle wave, but yeah.
A what?
A triangle wave more so, but yeah.
I guess. Well, yeah. But yeah, every 4th turn he has to start building up from 0 buffs again, which is a pretty big downtime that other buffers don't have, they're usually more consistent because you can just like spam move them for their entire suite of buffs in one go, or whatever timing they have. You could bring Nisroch, or you could bring like Snegorchka or Valentine's Masanori or something that probably has a better buff uptime while having more flexibility because you're not all immobile. I don't really think that the cost of Nisroch benefits or justifies the benefits, in my opinion. But if you do want to use Nisroch, consider using Christmas Gangli, who has immobility strengthening for a 2x damage buff. There's also no buff overlap with him and Nisroch, pretty much. There's like one buff overlap, but it's like Gangli CS or whatever. And Gangli also throws out a ton of healing and defensive buffs and debuffs without moving, so he's a good fit together with him. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about him. He's an okay buffer, but if you really want to use him, you really have to pay attention to who you use him with.
Identify the pessimist if you can from the stream. I think it's a really good kit for if you know what you want to value from it. But that's it. I'll just add one thing. I guess there's that one shitty acceleration effect you can use if you decide not to, like, buff everyone with Nisroch's mobility. So, yeah, he can give that too, I guess. Outside of that, though, I mean, he's the best choice we have now for auto teams. So he gives a lot of amps, and even though it's like waving in terms of damage amp, it's fine. All of it's like conveniently guaranteed for the first 2 turns very easily because of that glint. Actually, it's just guaranteed indefinitely as long as he's wiping every phase instantly with his calm clears. He's pretty powerful in that respect. And honestly, like, you may complain about his damage amps, but like there's like 10 billion other calm clears that can also provide like other damage amps to their allies. There's like so much variation you can do. Nisroch has no problem at all team building because you have many options to swap in between for your other 3 units to also just fully commit to damage amp. And in that respect, he's just, really good at, making those shitty auto teams, which I don't know if you ever want to actually make those, but a lot of people, at least on paper, say they want to make something like that. If not for practical purposes, then for fun. Sorry, what?
Why do you have your units pulled back like that?
I forgot. Honestly, it just might be so I could avoid Choji fucking over everyone in first turn, but it's also just a good way to sort of showcase how it can work over slower turns, so I'm not just instantly wiping everyone. AKA, I'm just stalling for longer footage. Guys, where are the Nisroch defenders? Guys, you want to hop in? Harvey? You there, Harvey? Okay, well, Milk, go ahead.
I guess I'll just go. But basically, yeah, this guy is actually meta. Just due to his auto like thing. Because like if you like do a 3-turn coin grind, you don't want to like actually move your units for 3 turns after a while. Like you just want to like have all of them set up and like go. Like you don't need like you don't want to be spending more effort to like clear phases of HP of like enemies with 5,000 HP. So like this guy is actually like gonna appear basically in almost any farming comp when you want to value your time.
Honestly, I forgot coin farms existed, but that's such a good point. But I went through this whole process of like, I should change my team now. But then I remembered I don't have Nisroch, so fucking hell.
like if you have like a 3x6 vertical quest, right? Like there's no reason why you wouldn't want to like use this unit if you like want to just like save effort and time. Like you would try to fit this guy in like chapter 14 HP Blossom, the chapter 15 or 16 like quests if you you do like want to farm those, like I think this guy is just a staple now. And the fact that, you know, he gives like 2 offensive buffs, like, because like the Ardor is really just a patch up for his first turn. Like that's like, it is a bad effect like by itself, but like if you see it from the point of view that like,
oh yeah,
that, like,
I totally
this guy is
what
like
you
a
mean.
3-turn farming like meta, like it's just there. Like you can see it's just like a band-aid so that you always get 2 buffs up. So like this is actually kind of like a ridiculous kit, because the whole design is basically just like, I'm tired of farming, so I'm just gonna give immobility to the entire team. I'm gonna make this 4-star unit. It gives like 2 offensive buffs at least during that 3-turn farming meta. So it's like, and that's like a lot better than what most other people can like claim to be as a 4-star unit. So it's like, yeah, this guy's meta. Like, this is like the unit to pull for in this matter, in my opinion. In terms of like meta.
I understand.
Just because of the immobility time save.
I understood where Zalgus was coming from in terms of seeing immobility as a bad thing, preventing you from having options. But yeah, I did feel like he was missing that picture of, but if you're farming and you're just guaranteeing everything out anyways, then it's like, it's actually a good thing you don't need to move anyone. Not that it happens too often, but for a lot of people it will matter, because, you know, farming for coin is kind of super brain numbing. Nisroch will help out.
Oh, I cheat for that, so
The cheater.
You use like a macro.
yeah, I just use Nox macros.
Yeah. But yeah, this guy is basically just there to like, I don't know about macro for like, if you can like macro him, but like it doesn't matter if you're using a macro anyways.
You wouldn't be able to
so it's
macro
like whatever.
with Nisroch, because you can't
to deal with, like,
guarantee that
timing
everyone
and
will be near
shit.
each other, and you can't. Well, unless you're like using Mononobe to like pull people in, but I mean, if you're using a macro at that point,
No, you can actually guarantee it with like Summer Barong as well, I'm pretty sure.
Where the fuck have you been, Harvey?
Oh.
Look
Right.
at the Garmr streaming chat.
Oh, okay, sure.
what about Summer Brawl? Oh,
Fun thing.
yeah, I completely forgot he had that stupid thing.
I actually think
Yeah.
Balrog's might cope right now, because I only have his 3-star Nisroch, but apparently he also has that immobility thing on. That's guaranteed when he moves, but he just can't bury everyone into position unless you use Balrog. So very cool. Use Balrog,
Yeah.
then you can reposition everyone with Nisroch, even his 3-star, and you know Balrog gives a shitload of amp already to the front line. So it's like, even if the 3-star doesn't really have that much amp, again, there's just so much damage amplifying calm clears that it doesn't matter. They're gonna be equally as good for farming for coin.
Yeah, I think this kid's like really good. I think everyone else has like said their piece about it already, and I can't like add on to it really, but yeah.
You had your chance, but
probably
then you decided to ping.
Hey, fucking Comcast starting to fuck me over at the worst time possible. You're like, I could hear you asking if I was there, and I was like, hello, and I heard the Discord disconnect sound immediately after that. But yeah, this is like gonna make coin farming like a lot more manageable for a lot of people who don't use macros, aka anyone who doesn't cheat.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably pull for him, knowing what the part 2 banner is, but I still need to see their kits. I hope they're shit so that I can just pull more for part 1, because I still want Jack Frost and Nisroch. Unfortunately, I only have Xiwangmu and what's called Bohemio, but maybe I'm jumping the gun here. We'll talk about them soon enough.
Oh,
And
right.
honestly-
I forgot to say. Oh, I'll go first.
Oh,
Basically, he's not an entertainer. He's actually a wanderer. I think Zalgus said he was an entertainer,
Yeah,
but he's
I think
not
you're just
one.
talking about his
he's
sponsors.
sponsored by, because if you look at his sponsorships on his smock, he has like the entertainer's mask. It's being blocked by the thing here, but
No, I think he actually is just sponsored by a bunch of guilds. Like, I think that's like...
The lore
is that
says he's
Tycoons?
sponsored by just a bunch of people giving him war decorations for, you know, helping feed people in, like, demilitarized zones, I believe. Some shit like that.
Okay, Harvey, you can go.
Demilitarized what?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say that
But
if you don't like care about like this heavy optimization for like EXP boosting and like the free quest, then he's actually like also viable in like the tall maps for chapter 15 and 14 as well. Assuming that you can like already counter the mechanics there.
which you can
also,
because there's so much counters among the column clears themselves they can handle. Even like fucking Summer Katopa Pass directly counters Loki. It's kind of funny because he's kind of a mid column clear otherwise. But Gazer actually brought up a good point in chat. It's kind of shocking none of us brought it up. You could just not move him either, and he's still equally as useful with those amps. So, if you really do have a hate boner for that mobility, you can still enjoy column clearing with Nisroch just fine without that.
But the immobility is the best part about him.
It is, yeah.
I have no other thoughts.
Okay, well, thank you, Harvey, for your late thoughts. We will go ahead and read the chat. Who is covering this? This is Zalgus. Go ahead.
I think you should read it. No, not really.
Go ahead.
You sure he's not an invader with this anti-move slot movement he got in his kit? Maybe. TV, it's kind of a good pair of Summer Labe. Who doesn't pair well with Summer Labe?
Actually, I'm pretty sure there's quite a few. Isn't like Yoma not ideal-ish? Well, I don't know, maybe Harvey would disagree.
What? Kiyama is like one of the best partners for Summerlabe.
I mean, I guess it would make it so he doesn't get the CP turn start sometimes, but...
It's mostly on turn 3. But...
I mean, if you're using Summer Labe, or if you're using Mononobe, are you really going to drop to low HP because that contract defensive buff is pretty powerful?
Okay, let's
in
move on.
In the context of like his buffing, it's like one of the best partners actually.
Yeah, there's like no overlap.
Okay, you make a good point. I guess most people just works well with Summerlabe.
I think it's pretty good. The Arda being turn 1 is actually good because Arda is everywhere and it's stacks with all his buffs. Also, his buffs are fairly not common, which helps to improve the team.
No one actually talked about this. I mean, concentration and limit formerly were not that common, but they're a bit more common now. Vigor, it's still fairly rare, I guess. No one actually mentioned this, but his charge is kind of funny in terms of it's so low range, but he has that one bizarre effect that pulls units in. Its one and only purpose is so that he can pull people in for his charge whenever that's ready, so that he can give people order again while still
I
missing.
was wondering why he had that, and I just realized that his CS range was thrust. So
It's so bizarre. But yes, he can technically also have a decent order output as long as, you know, you have another charge full in your team.
Level 1 Arda.
5 CP either way. Ooh, charge full.
Nisroch simply enhances the team in a way that allows him to meld well in any offensive team. I don't know about any. Also, his immobility is only after moving, so you could just not do that. It's meant to serve as an option in case you want to auto-farm. Yeah, I suppose. My big, beefy griffin demon chef I'm eating good tonight. Is he a griffin? I didn't read anything about Nisroch, so...
Anyways, to clarify... Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, he's supposed to be like eagle-headed, but they just like made his hair like that for the eagle reference, I guess.
Oh, what the fuck? Now I can't unsee it. Jesus.
What?
I'm telling you.
Oh, yes, I see it now.
What the fuck?
Yeah. I don't know how you guys don't see the fucking bald eagle dying on his head.
I don't know,
okay.
I just saw like
The
Yu-Gi-Oh here
American.
or some shit like that. It's like, whatever. You know, I'm done to it. But yeah.
Maybe they meant
Sorry,
the other griffin.
I was
As in,
drawn to
like,
his chin.
your griffin.
Oh, Peter Griffin, yeah, that Shin. Hey, Lewis. Remember that time I went into a demilitarized zone and fed everyone?
Hello.
But yeah, I think as to some remaining thoughts I forgot to mention, Poison Reversal, you can pretty much just ignore it. It's not really a bad thing that it's there. It's just strange that it's here.
That's rough data they are.
Just who cares? It's like the rest of this code is good and self-sufficient enough. And also, to add on to specific values, that Ardor on top of that first turn vigor ensures that at least for the first turn, 3 turns he's doing at least 5 times a damage amp. So, for first 3 turns, if you're getting a free 5 times amp on top of a bunch of charge fill and you don't need to move, that's just a whole bundle of goodness for those that like to farm. You may continue reading the chat.
Bird hair and lion tail. I just noticed the eagle Lamau. He does have a lion tail. Does he? I can't see it here.
He does.
He does.
That's a lot more noticeable.
3-star. It's
Oh yeah, there it is.
it's there.
Okay, well, thank you for covering all of those comments, and also for revealing that there is in fact an eagle on his head. Apparently, more than half of us didn't notice that, which is funny. But yeah, let's go on to the next topic. We are going to be talking about Xiwangmu. This is going to be covered by Milk Housamo. On your mark, whenever you're ready.
Okay, so I'm just gonna talk about her 4-star. So basically, she has her first skill. As after moving, she's gonna heal 25% of the person's HP in front of her. So it's gonna be the person's HP that's being healed, like 25% of their HP, and not her HP. That's gonna be applied to them. So if you have like a 20,000 HP unit in front of her, they're gonna be healed for like 5,000 HP. That's how it works. Anyways, before being attacked, she applies Nullify debuff to herself at 70% rate. It's kind of inconsistent. Her second skill is that she applies to everybody on the entire board at phase start protection. She gets a phase start healing for herself and allies adjacent. She has extra horizontal movement, and before she's hit, she gets a 60% 10 CP increase. Her third skill is that she has another phase start defensive buff with tenacity to allies, not herself, just allies, and a 2-square diamond radius. And she gets guts to herself. And after moving, she gets 16 CP to herself at an 80% rate. Her last skill is that she gets regeneration to herself. She applies this Dazzle skill bestow status to enemies, where basically once an enemy is hit, they're gonna apply Dazzle to themselves. This debuff lasts 1 turn, but the Dazzle lasts for its usual amount of turns. And then on turn start, if she is at 100% HP, she's gonna apply crit to the ally in front of her at a 90% rate. And her CS is this all-range CS where she's gonna heal herself and everybody adjacent to her, and she applies a remove debuff to herself, kind of like Summer Kotaro, I guess. This kit is kinda weird. It's basically like this 1-turn defensive kit in the sense that it's like phase start protection, phase start tenacity. And I guess it's kind of going in the direction of where, and you also have that dazzle effects to enemies. So it's basically 3 defensive amps. But it's only for 1 turn. The phase start. So I'm thinking that it's kind of Life Wonder's new direction with these survival based farming quests, where perhaps they might make a 1-turn survival farming quest in the future. That's actually a lie. There's no reason why they would do that when we have sub slots. But yeah, I don't really like this kit because of that. It's like a defensive unit, but it only works for the first turn of each phase. So like, why? Like, I guess there's like the crit to allies, but it's like 1 square.
I sort of get it, but you need to get out of the mindset that she's useful as a like tank healer. I mean, she is a tank healer, but not one where you normally use for like an endurance quest. The key idea is to sort of think about like, when would a unit who can only tank for 1 turn be useful? And that's not for endurance quests. That's for like if you're doing very specific strategies. Any strategy that punishes, for example, if you only need to punish them once, that's a good way to use Xiwangmu for. Like you just slap in Seth or like whoever else that inflicts some skill locking thing when they're hit. With Golden Gotch, that's a good way to take damage safely, as long as Xiwangmu is on board. You can also do like dot strategies if that's a thing, like with Shino or even Quantum's actually a pretty good pair with Xiwangmu. So they can take that turn to do flat damage.
Kind of sounds dumb still.
It is dumb. These aren't strong strategies, but
you're bringing this unit to survive 1 turn, to bring like other defensive units, and then after she's like dead weight. It's like
Quantum is already invulnerable on turn 1 though.
I don't know.
I don't know. Like, can't you just like find evasion or something, and then just like not have to use her?
I mean, I guess the special thing about her is a lot of her turn 1 stuff is on turn 1, which is decently unique. Whereas a lot of people that have evasion on phase start, that's only like at a limited range. So it is at least a good way to handle, 1 phase quests, or the first turn of multi-phase quests. It's not.
I think
great,
I kind of like enjoy her kit conceptually. It's just not really something I would ever like use in an actual quest, though. I like. I do fancy the board-wide dazzle when attacked status that she bestows. That's probably like one of the more interesting parts about her kit. But yeah, I'm never gonna touch this unit. Even though it keeps coming to my account, I have it like SALV 46 or something. Yeah.
That's a pretty good heal.
I might remember to use her in case, since unfortunately I do have her instead of Nisroch or Jack Frost. But I might remember to use her if I want to do more punish strats. Because I was like, for life of me, not having fun with these more different setups I did until like just happened to pick Christine because I happened to remember what her evil was. And I was like, oh wait, this is actually kind of decent with her. So it really does feel a lot better if you're building for those turn strategies that are specifically for exactly 2 turns. They're not that powerful and there's not too many of them, but yeah, if you're not doing that, she just kind of feels like a, what's called, base Jamboree in terms of healing, which no one even remembers he has a single target heal, I bet.
I do, because I need to ratio Mura with his base kit.
True. His percent-based healing is actually quite good, at least, but we did talk about that with Choji. At least she can do it every turn, though, even if it is just for a single target. It is comparable to, like, Jamboree Aizen's heal when he moves, and he can only do it every 3 turns. Because even though that's, like, point-based, or flat health-based, you can still get an idea of how strong 25% health is. Because, just by, like, taking an average of the health of 4-star units, roughly it's about, like, 7,000 HP, which means 25% you're gonna get, like, 1,800 HP healing done on average for a unit. And, 1,800 HP, that's a lot per turn. That's, like, better than Jamboree, that's better than Aizen. But, no one really uses their on-move heal that often. So it is questionably useful in that case. But at least she has other stuff going on in, like, her single turn amp.
Ooh,
it's 2,000
okay HP to 1 unit. Ooh.
That's an okay heal if you run affiliations.
Yeah.
It is like, I'm saying this because it is like her only movement effect, and it's only for 1 person. So,
Doesn't Ryota already have something like that?
Not on move. I think he has a revival effect, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, it's one hit.
Okay, let's move on. Xiwangmu is Xiwangmu.
You didn't even.
Right. To read out the chat. Is this Melkoso? Yes, that's right.
I didn't even say anything.
Did he not say anything? Okay.
No,
Jump
he didn't
in.
ask
We were
me.
waiting for like. Hop in whenever you want, Zalgus.
I think Xiwangmu is shit.
Thank you, Zalgus.
I look at this kit and I can't stop thinking, why wouldn't I just use like Sanzo instead? I mainly think of that for the stupid crit thing, which Sanzo is better at doing. No, the one turn like decent defense is like, is it really worth it? There are more units who could do that sustainably, and this just does not stand out at all in terms of defenses. Like, it sucks.
I mean, I guess the idea is, even though there are lots of units that can do it sustainably, they're generally like all local, so at least it's board wide for Xiwangmu. That is the one thing she has going compared to other tanks that can sustain it indefinitely.
I mean, the Dazzle technically isn't board wide unless you have someone who can actually hit everything.
Just bring Jack Frost. There you go.
It's time to show 3-star Oscar.
Honestly, I use 3-star Oscar for more demonstrations than I should be. He's just too convenient for shit like Xiwangmu.
But you're not even using
That's
him here.
sad.
He was in one of my demos that didn't feel that satisfying. But you know, just Christine's more fun in the end with her evos. Okay, thank you for shitting on Xiwangmu. If that's it, then please read the chat, Milk.
Okay. Osmo, the only game to give us more than one full curry game.
I guess this is a call out for the MiHoYo games, I believe, where they have like just the one bear or wolf.
It's just
and
like
that's it.
Hon and Ben.
Yeah.
Weirdly selfish for a support unit.
And
At least
Fulcrum, I
the
guess.
Dazzle is nice. I don't know what's selfish. It's just like shit. Mother and these emojis. Surprised Qinglong isn't in her relationship chart. Mother goddess.
You know, that is a good
Okay,
point with
that's it.
Xiwang. Okay, let us move on. Finally, we're eating good, or are we? We are going to be talking about Bohemio, or Bohemio, depending on your predilection of how you want to pronounce his name. So, the first 5-star of this topic, of this matter rather, that we'll be talking about. I'll be covering him. Bohemio is, if you can't tell from his kit, something of a tank. But to be more specific, let's go down by each of his individual roles. He is, first and foremost, a repositioner, which is, you know, surprising because he doesn't really have any other on-move effects, but it is built into his kit to at least have extended movement every other turn, or in very least every time he is not moved for one turn, in addition to whenever he arrives on battle. And what's conducive to that is also he just resists all movement disabling effects, so quite a nice pair to have that extended movement along with that. In addition to that, he also has a kind of a mid-team charge fill. It's okay. I mean, he gives a bit of CP to himself and allies every time he misses. And he also gives Ardor, which also gives a bit of CP whenever he misses. That is, by the way, his only amp. So that's the last time I'll be bringing it up. Not great. And then he also has a massive amount of CP, but only when he gets a charge, which, you know, he doesn't build his charge that fast, to allies only, and not himself. 40 CP. So the most important thing about his kit, which is the most obvious as well, is that he is a tank of sorts. I'm gonna need to go over each individual part of his tanking to give you an idea of why he's not just like your standard tank, because it's not very obvious from just looking at his kit, but it becomes more clear the more you play with him. So he has a mixture of defense and defense amps and damage writs. His defense amps include Vanity Strengthening. Takes people with Vanity take half damage, and he can bestow it to his allies as well as himself if he decides not to move for a turn, or if you don't shuffle him. And he also, just by existing, can always bestow protection to himself and allies adjacent. The range is rather restrictive on that, but in very least, no matter what, he'll be able to give it. No need to do any movement or non-movement things. So, in essence, at least if you skill seed him, he'll always be taking half damage than he should be just because of that one dazzle effect. Outside of that, he can also inflict damage mitts on the enemy. He can inflict dazzle on the enemy, as well as adjacent collaterals to them if you manage to hit them with this super low blow range. You know, he does have that extended movement again to move up to the base in order to do that. And he also, if you don't hit with him, he can inflict darkness at a uniquely large range. It's not board wide, but it's also much larger than something like magic. It's a bit hard to describe. It's better to just look at that one skill and get an idea of its range. It can apply to pretty much like the entire range of tall maps, as well as the majority of large maps, if he's dead on center. And outside of that, he also has one other damage mitt on his charge, which again is kind of hard to set up because he has a slow charge fill. But he does have this sort of like an inverted evasion effect, or rather evasion on the enemy. Rather, it makes a singular enemy attack as if everyone has evasion, because it reduces their damage by 100th. So probably the most powerful damage mitigation we have in the game. Unfortunately, it's tied to only a single unit, and unfortunately, it's hard to actually build up. But the one fortunate thing about it is that it's also an effect that is unlikely to be blocked in any way by the enemy. So if you can time it right, it can be useful for certain quests for a single turn, that when they have a wipe ready. Questionable though. But yeah, as I said before, he also has movement disabling statuses, which is relevant because that also means he resists things that can reduce what's called. It can prevent certain statuses that also increase damage taken, such as break, which both increases the damage taken as well as prevents people from moving. He also has a few other tank effects, such as HP loss, reversal, and rival. Not too great since it's only for the first 2 turns. And he can push units away, which I guess counts as a tanking ability, only on his charge. And he can remove all buffs from the combatant, ensuring that they don't have any amps carrying over from the previous turn that they can follow up with. So he has a lot of damage mitigations and that his entire team can enjoy, unlike Amaterasu, who pretty much like only give 1 defense amp to her allies. Everyone can enjoy protection and darkness and dazzle and vanity strengthening, and they're all quite what's called. He also has that unique mitt on his charge, and he also has extended movement, so he can do a bit of dodging. Now, all of this sounds good on paper, but after trying it out, like, it's very clear what the problem of it is, because this footage here took me a lot of sort of attempts to take with different teams and different maps, because Bohemio is not actually a great tank in the traditional sense. The issue is all of his mitigations are contradicting. Let's list all the contradictions one by one. So if he misses, he can inflict darkness, but if he attacks, he can inflict dazzle. He cannot be inflicting both at the same time, so that means you're not going to be able to enjoy all 4 damage mitts at the same time. If he's stationary, he can bestow vanity to activate his vanity strengthening, and if he is repositioning with his extended movement then to avoid being hit, then he can't actually activate that vanity. So it's like either or again, and yet again with that vanity only if you decide not to move. If you're deciding not to move, then you can't alternate between missing and attacking for getting both dazzle and darkness. So if you try to stack for both dazzle and darkness, then you won't get vanity. And if he uniquely doesn't need any sort of movement in order to use his mitigation, so that's a plus for him, right? Well, except for the fact that he has like repositioning built into his kit. If you decide to use him for like his unique ability to not need any movement, a lot of tanks need to move to guard their allies, but he doesn't, then you won't be able to dodge, which he can. And lastly, he has a bunch of refreshable mitigations, which seems to lend the case of him being, like, in very least, a good tank over the long term, except the fact that his vanity strengthening only lasts for the first 10 turns of battle. So it's like, it is very confusing. And hard to keep track of who has what mitigations and if he's missed or not, or if he hasn't moved, or if he should move him. And that makes him, at least at first glance, kind of an ineffective tank. But that's only if you're looking at him from like the traditional lens of how a tank should be. They just like sort of hold the ground in place. But that is not what Bohemio is. True to his name as a wanderer, or rather the guildmaster of the wanderers, he is intended to be moving, not necessarily constantly, but in very least you're supposed to be mixing up his effects, which is questionably useful. But that also means that because of also his low range for some of his mitts, he's also more suited for skirmishing. He's not a skirmish damage dealer, but he's a skirmishing tank. If that's ever useful. But yeah, it's not great. And also the fact that he relies on bounty is also not great, because it means he's one of his flaws is he doesn't have any debuff mitigation in his kit. If you do bring debuff mitigation, and it can get in the way of getting that extra amp from vanity. So it is a bit of a dilemma in that sense. You cannot be blocking it with a nullify debuff, because then you just be wasting nullify debuff and losing out on vanity strengthening. But the flip side is he is the first unit in the game that can just inflict a debuff to allies every single turn, which is nice for after debuff teams. If you want to use something like Eagle Knock or Pazuzu for their after debuff chargeful effects. There's also Ark's fantasy variant, Zabani and Beiki and Yasuyori as what's called Christmas variant, who gets a bunch of CP every time they're debuffed. And then there's also Gulen Duxty and even Jack Frost, although his chargeful is kind of shit, to be honest, even if it is after debuff. But he can open the gate for making units that have after debuff effects that don't already have vanity to work a lot better. How useful is that? I mean, a bit questionable, but Bohemio is kind of disappointing in terms of if you're expecting him to play in a certain way. I don't know if they'll ever make skirmishing quests better, because they keep on doing it, like with Garmr or Bathim or Bohemio. But in the very least, I don't know where I was going with that. It's you can cope that they may release more quests like that just because they are releasing that new endurance type quest. Maybe it'll be more common, and maybe they'll have more skirmishing type things. That's a huge cope. We'll just have to see though. So unfortunately, my impression at the start of form was quite high on playing him. He's quite mid. But yeah, that's all my thoughts on my dearly beloved Bohemio. What do you guys think?
I feel like this is like the summer Tindalos of this banner in a way, in the sense that when
he's gonna get
Tindalos
Evo
was
later,
released, right? We can only hope. But yeah, when Summer Tindalos was released, he was like only known for like this move bot who like gave a bunch of defensive amps, and like he had the flat damage thing and a bunch of but he wasn't like that great for like farming, so it was a bit awkward to use him in the event farm quest. And then you got his Skill where he just became meta. Bohemio on the other hand is like this kind of the same way, in the sense that he's really good at defense, except unlike Tindalos, I think he kind of lacks cohesion in his kit. As Ara said, you can't really make use of both Dazzle and Darkness because they're like different trigger timings. You need to either commit to him hitting something or him missing. And
you can't alternate either, because then you miss out on bounty. It's like, bro.
Yeah, that's a little weird. Maybe we'll get a unit that can like freely reposition units, like, I don't know. You guys remember fucking Vanilla Homebrew Tigre? Where he moved
move units forward.
You pushed up people.
I remember him, but I'm like, this will never be helpful. And I always remember him whenever a new batch of units comes in, and I think of Ombre, and it's like, yeah, it's not gonna helpful. This is never helpful. Like, Jesus.
What are we talking about?
He moves, and then everyone else moves forward on his team.
We were talking about
nice
Homebrew Tigre. Yeah. Cool gimmick. Awful kit though.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm surprised like no one's talking about it. But you can use him as like a replacement for faster use of a Con Licho team up, where like you CS loop with the CP gain that he gets from his charge.
His CP, that CP gain on his charge isn't to himself, so I'm not sure if you can actually do that. Yeah, I know.
Well,
same reaction.
Well.
Oh,
Okay.
Bohemio.
Oh, whatever.
Bohemio, oh my god.
They said they could do charge skill evos this year. Sometime.
Oh my god, I'm fucking waiting for that. Please, Life Runners, make it happen.
I think that, you know, I was thinking about like this kit and thinking that it was bad, and I'm actually kind of changing my mind just because I'm thinking about like last year's perma 5 stars being like Prometheus and Amaterasu, and I'm like, okay, maybe this kit is okay. That's my cope.
Honestly, it is.
I mean,
better than,
do you remember what Prometheus does? It's like,
I unfortunately do, only because I looked it up recently and because I was asking what does he even do recently. Truly,
it's like
one of the worst tanks to ever be
I kind
conceived.
of remember what Amaterasu does. Too,
I remember though.
like,
I'm Amaterasu's biggest
like,
competitor. Just saying.
Keep glazing her.
She's
But
good.
it's like, but it's like, you know, like, is Bohemia really that bad? If I think about it, I feel like I'm going insane now.
Yo,
The cope never ends.
I will let you know it's easier to make a team for Amaterasu than it is for Bohemio. You're gonna need to try yourself in order to confirm that because he is just he does not work as a traditional tank. If you try to make him tank everyone like you would a normal tank, it's just not gonna work.
Yeah, I would have liked healing if you're going to be a tank. That was my issue with Summer Tindalos when he released too. I don't think he had like healing.
He still doesn't
I don't
really
think,
the side
like-
function, but yeah.
Yeah, I think Bohemia also, like, I would like healing. I would like damage on him, you know, if he's gonna frontline. So that seems to be like what he's gonna do too. Like just like a little something everywhere would have been nice. But yeah. I also don't believe in Amaterasu if you're not gonna be using some like cracked SALV 101. It's like
It's not even
I've
her
tried
just
using her
charge.
in
Most
like
of the time you use her for-
HDQs and she just like dies.
She
And
has
it's like
the Jack Frost effect. Cool.
Awesome.
You know who else has the Jack Frost effect? Jack Frost.
Amaterasu does it better because she can do it for more than one turn, unlike Jack Frost.
okay, look. Okay, yeah, that's all I had to say about him.
Fair enough.
I think the most
I thought he
interesting
could do
thing-
the Fleecho thing, but I guess I misled Harvey. I was wrong.
Wow.
No, that's the first thing I immediately thought of too, and I was like, fucking Bohemia, man, why not even to self? They say in this kid he's like, oh, he's the strongest ever, but he's not armed because he's always held for police, but then he gets his charge and he just does fucking no amp anywhere in his kit to himself. Like, why? They better, I don't know. I'll be fine if they don't give him an Evo like Tindalos, but my only caveat is they better fucking make those endurance quests actually like relevant and more diverse, because I'm fucking tired of them releasing units that can do all of tanking and do all of like damage dealing. Like, no more Azasots, no more Tindaloses, please just have some better game balance, I beg you.
God, it would have been like at least a little bit better if they gave him like the big omni movement that Zhao or Nuarl or Seth have, but it's just fucking +1 movement. Like, okay, sure. He doesn't even like have like innate horizontal movement, despite being like, you know, the wanderer of this game. Like, alright.
Again, he's designed to move and not move. That's the philosophy of this kid. After several attempts of trying to build him, he's designed not to just move and not to just not move, but you're supposed to fucking move around and take a sip of coffee and then move again. It's so fucking dumb.
He gets tired sometimes, okay?
Honestly, that might be it. Like, he moves, I think, like, settles for like one turn. Like, oh. Okay. I'm like going insane right now. Yeah, I just wish that they made him like a master of like one skill or something. This is, I guess it says like big defensive stuff like on his charge and vanity and shit, but
It's as long. His skill kit is as long as Garmr's 2 Skivos.
No, don't do this to him. He's still better than Garmr.
Don't say that.
He's just more disappointing than Garmr because no one expects anything from him in the first place. But at least Bohemio, at least he looked cool at first. Boogeyman all over again. My heart's breaking.
I was going to say, I think that one of the slightly more interesting parts is just that the range of his on-miss darkness is very unusual, which is very crap praise, but it's something I think
good. And then, you know, I tried using him for multiple other teams, and I was like, why does he keep on dying anyways? And then I realized he's not getting literally any of his other defense amps besides protection.
Did you level him, by the way?
No. I'm using someone else's on support. I mean, there's plenty on support, so it's fine.
Okay, because I was going to say...
No, he's just dying from...
I would be giving you FP, but you have a level 31 Bohemio.
Just use him! I mean,
I don't need him anyway, because Quantum just sits in the corner and can't die.
yeah, seriously. Throw him in subslots. Use my sports. Pretty please. Or not, it's up to you. Anyway, kind of disappointing, but Milk does have a point. Sorry, what?
You just stop having this bias against Xiwangmu Bear, I swear to God.
I mean, you might expect Evos, but fucking last new semester still needs Evos. Where's Prometheus' Evo? Jesus Christ. That was real last year. He was like shit-ass kid that was from 5 years ago. Anyway, we're finally done with this, but I will try to end off in a high note by reading the chat and be reminded that Bohemio at least is still hot. Let's see. You just got him from Banner. Hope he's good. Sorry. Sorry. I mean, he's good, but he's not good. Is no one gonna bring up the 80 CP surrounding? It's 40 CP only on artifact level 1. And I did bring it up, and it's not to self. And he has a hard time building it up. So, yeah. You thought Bohemio's a 5-star would either be Long Slash or Magic Unit with how his art is assigned. A below unit made no sense to you. It kind of doesn't, especially since he doesn't have any damage amp to emphasize he's a boss killer either. So it's like, if you're not a boss killer, like, what is this blow range helping you off, really? I guess its only main purpose is to help make it easier for you to miss or attack with this extended movement, compounding on that. So they succeeded in making him perfectly just as you would expect from the Wanderer Guildmaster. He moves, he has a quick fuck, and he moves on to his next destination. I don't know. So giving Husha. Let's see. I mean, his research file actually does say he's just like total heartthrob. I mean, I'm saying that, but he is kind of like farming something about loud Tauri music or some shit. Pretty cool. You thought Bohemio's... I already read that. Why wasn't Bohemio's divine attribute the color on his deflectors? When has the fucking... Actually, never mind. I guess the insignia does often reflect the people's attributes. One day, Ara, you too shall be Tenlos. True. They keep on... Whenever you reprints, I'm just like, oh, he's a good unit. Anyway. He's good, but I don't want to pull him. I like him, but yeah. The color of his sigil is very misleading to his attribute. Yeah. Also love that HP loss reversal just existing. It really does not complement anything in Skid. Maybe it's a lore thing. I just kind of pretend it's not there. Technically it works to his tanking, but for like the first 2 turns, nah, that's not helpful. Is Kaiser Tenlos? Dunno. Are you? So who's the crown jewel of this banner? Let's not get ahead of ourselves to assume there is a crown jewel in this banner, but
it's Nisroch.
Kind of. He's definitely the shiniest of all these maybe somewhat unpolished gems. At least they're all gems, but you know, not the highest of carrots. I am a fan of Tinlos. Who isn't? No, I don't like Tinlos. I mean, he's fine, but yeah, okay, never mind. Just answer the question. Bohemio, Behemoth, Bohemio. That's some real brain rot you got going there. Maybe have a doctor check that out. I think he's blow since he's doing that on my thing of using improv weapons, so he doesn't have much range of a proper weapon. I mean, sure, but certainly, like, a fucking sign has more range than, you know, just punching. Thrust range is usually reserved for some sort of thrust weapon like that.
Maybe he actually doesn't use the sign and he actually just punches them.
Or maybe he's like a pacifist, you know, he just uses the sign to deflect shit. I don't know.
He's not a pacifist, but you'd be fool looking at this kid. Fucking hell, man.
He has no amps for himself. It's just harder to allies.
That's actually insane that a 5-star has 0 amps. Even like Tinlos unreleased had his, like, what's called buff reversal. Come on. Let's see. Bohemio is a good husband material, it's just not a good meta unit. I'm hoping the meta itself changes based on these endurance quests. That is huge cope, but I'm enjoying them so far anyways to, like, bring Bohemio on board and just, well, I want to say moving Oscar anyways since he actually has a good tank. Fucking dual purpose units, I hate them. Very nice kit for a bum character. Life Runners with the anti-homeless benches. No, still good. Just not in any quests that we get. Jack Frost, the gem of the banner, and we all know it. I mean, he has his own issues, but there's a good argument we have about that. Certainly more than Bohemio anyways. We'll get to that soon. Damn, pulled twice and got a 5-star Jack and thought you were blessed. I mean, it's not the worst unit to get dupes on. It's okay. Speaking of, let's go ahead and hop right into that topic. The real reason why all 27 of you who is currently online have been waiting this entire time, I'm certain. We are finally going to be talking about everyone's favorite amusement park mascot, Jackie. Actually, his nickname is Frost, I believe. Jack Frost. Whenever you're ready. Happy guys.
Yay, Mr. Frosty.
Let me know when you want me to put up the tier list thing.
Alright, well, I'm gonna be primarily talking about his 5-star kit, because I did not look at his 3-star kit at all. I'm just assuming
it is actually one of the worst 3-star kits you'll imagine. It's kind of insane.
Okay, well, if you want to talk about that, you can do that later.
No.
But okay. Alright, Jack Frost. So, thankfully he has a fairly simple kit, so I'll just go over his skills one by one. He has his phase start, weapon change all to himself. This lasts 2 turns, and he also applies this after debuff, reduce 1k HP to self to enemies on a board range. This is like the same as Amaterasu's, I'm pretty sure, but this lasts 3 turns instead of infinitely. He also applies obstruct to enemies at a board wide radius, 20%, and when he misses, he gives himself 50 CP. And this is fine because he starts off, or his base range is none range. So if his weapon change expires, he'll be gaining 50 CP. Alright, next up, he has this turn start vanity to himself, and 2 after debuff procs, one of which being 8 CP to himself and allies at a 40% rate. And arousal to himself and allies at a 60% rate.
Sounds better all in one place.
Yeah, this is one of the worst debuffing procs I've ever seen. Not only is the CP like not that great compared to other like aqua debuff shit, it's also like at a miserable 40% rate. It's disgustingly bad. But aside from that, he has 3 before hitting effects. He applies Drain at an 80% rate, he applies Freeze at an 90% rate, and he also removes a buff at an 80% rate. So at least he has some decent utility alongside his weapon change all. Alright, and for his last skill, he has this phase start, HP reduction, board ride again, and he deletes 2k HP from enemies. He has his turn start, FCP is 100, he applies freeze to enemies at a board ride range again, and this is just because his freeze in his CS is different. It's a stackable freeze, as well as removing all buffs from enemies at 100% rate. He resists all forms of freeze, and he deals double damage to freeze. So his only multiplier, or his only damage multiplier innately, is applying freeze and dealing double damage to freeze. So it's a 4 times 4, or not 4 times 4. It's 4.4. So compared to like Oscar, he's gonna be doing like a little bit less damage than him after post turn run. Anyways, Oscar does a lot more damage on turn 1 because of his crit thing.
I mean, Jack Frost is honestly the weakest board wiper in the game. He's not even a wiper. He can't even. He's like a board wide attacker. Like 2,000 damage at base. That's worse than Christine.
Yeah, his damage at level 70 with like no stat boosts is 1.8k, and if he's blossomed, he does 2.7k, and if he's level 90 and blossomed, it's 3.1k. It's kind of iffy how low his damage is by himself. I don't think it's hard for him to make him do damage, but it is a bit concerning how low it is.
Yeah. I mean, that's obviously by design, based on what his main advantage is.
Yeah, it's quite low, but you can't work around it. This is since not only is his weapon change the most convenient like form of weapon, rather, it's the most convenient trigger timing for him, or I think the most convenient trigger timing in the game. Like Summer Shiva needs to keep moving to retain it, while Oscar needs to stand still, and Ben 10 is Ben 10.
Right.
She has her own problems. Jack Frost just gets to keep being all range as long as you can keep killing enemies. Not to mention that his multipliers for himself are completely unique. It's freeze that he applies already, and it's his advantage against freeze. So you can pair him with virtually any buffer / debuffer in the game, and you'll be able to take advantage of it. And you can move to that one slide if you want.
Here you are.
Yeah. So yeah, I was like doing a bit of testing with like different people to see how he would perform, and this can be a lot. So I'll just go over like the most interesting ones, and if anyone wants to ask about something, I'll answer it. So I think like if you want raw damage, then the top 3 people are going to be Valentine's, Amdusias, Summer Tindalos, and Yig, since they all offer a unique buff or no overlapping buffs with each other. Amdusias is like really, really strong. He's probably like one of the best local amp / totems in the game. He offers like 3 different buffs as well on top of weakness. One is CP is full, I'm pretty sure. Summer Tindalos, he is a universal buffer. Even though he doesn't like offer as much amps to other people, he can be paired with basically any other damage buffer, and you'll get value out of him. And he's also quite versatile. Summer Zhao and Main Quest Snarl are up there just because Jack Frost is one of the units, or one of the board wipers who can be ferried around and like not lose value. Main Quest Snarl doesn't have any buffs of his own, but he just has like so much utility, and he's also quite relevant and
just
a lot of farm.
Just don't move him beside Jack Frost.
Yeah, keep him like in the corner somewhere or something. Mononobe is quite an interesting pairing with them, because he can disrupt Jack Frost, giving himself all range, but you can also like mitigate that by just moving him on an even turn instead. So Jack Frost will give himself all range on like odd turns or something, and like not be disrupted. Let's see. He's also one of the few board wipers you can like actually utilize Leonin. And I know that's not a name that you haven't like talked about in a while, but since he doesn't have any like damage buffs on his own, Leonin's one of the more ideal pairings for him if you want to run like other utility units. Oh yeah, Christmas Tianjin. This was interesting because he can actually take advantage of like Tianjin's drain weakness and advantage against drain, since he already applies drain on himself. Nightmare Jambavon was actually like a really fun unit to pair him with.
Is it because of the break thing?
Yeah. Also because he has good pairing with Summer Labe, and none of these units have like overlapping statuses with each other. And he also allows Jack to like survive a lot of hits because he's like one of the best skirmishing units in general, I think. Yule isn't. I wouldn't like recommend using Yule, I think, just because it's a better pairing if you have Oscar instead. But if you don't want to like take advantage of ferrying Jack around, Yule's gonna be one of their better options.
The beauty of it is that it's like you can choose to move Jack Frost, which is his advantage, but also you can choose just not to, which is also his advantage. So Yule works perfectly fine too for that same reason.
Yeah. Valentine's Tomte can help Jack get some extra charge fell, as well as being able to ferry him and give him concentration. It's a more unique synergy. I don't think it's as powerful, but it's definitely there if you have like your other damage amps covered. Willie, I think, is one of the stronger picks as well, simply because he gives so many amps when he appears, and also Jack kind of suffers from having low damage, but he can like still clear mobs, so Willie can like still like pick off priority targets. Yeah, there's a lot of other stuff on this list, but if anyone has questions, you can ask me, or because I'm done with my thing.
Yeah, that was a lot to cover, but I'm glad you did because I'll just go ahead and close this tier list for now. Be sure to rewind to this point if you want to review it, because the rest are worth considering too. Thank you for preparing that, Harvey. It's Jack Frost really kind of lives and dies by his partners, because he's certainly not doing any soul killing on his own by any means. But yeah, he's also ironically kind of as a board wiper that is the most flexible. It's weird that he's also kind of one of the healthiest for the game because he encourages so much team diversity for so much situations. But maybe that's just more of a sign of Life Wonders constantly making like other board wipers hyper conditional and situational. So Jack Frost breaks free of those chains. However, you are kind of not stuck in from all chains because you are also just almost by default forced to bring like not even just amp but like extreme amp with Jack Frost. But you know, it's fine, we have a lot of options for that now, board wide and local, and a lot of free options for that too. Did you already mention his farming utility?
In the form of like his buff removal?
Well, not just that, but also the other part. But you can mention both if you haven't.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he can remove some like he can sometimes remove like stuff like evasion or guts if you can time it right. And if he has his CP up, you can also just like delete buffs immediately. I am a bit iffy about the buff thing, the buff removal thing, just because it doesn't like go well with like the relevant quests that we have. Like you would expect his like CP 100 removal buff thing to work against like Ramu, but it actually doesn't because Ramu gives his buffs after Jack procs his skill.
That's so, awful. Yeah. Actually, yeah. I think Takumaru had the similar issue, didn't he?
Who?
Christmas Takamaru.
Oh, yeah, probably. I don't care. I don't think about it either, ever.
True.
So.
Well, at least you can still
you can-
remove buffs on hit.
You're saying.
I mean, do you have any other thoughts, Milk or Zalgus? You guys have been real quiet since this dropped.
Okay, I'll go first. First of all, Ara, did you put the wrong turn duration for the buff, the debuff?
Did I? I thought it was just one turn, wasn't it?
It's 3 turns.
Oh.
Returns.
Oopsie.
I was confused at that. I think it's very amusing that Life Wonders intentionally made Jack Frost's CS apply only one freeze stackable, because every other example that we've had of this, which is to say Shenong and Korpica, have just instantly applied 5, or is it 4 or 5 stacks?
4 stacks for freeze,
4 stacks.
5 stacks for poison, I believe, or some shit like that.
Yeah, and then they make Jack Frost, who would really, really appreciate having a quadruple.
That would be excessive, wouldn't it?
I mean, Shenong did it.
Yeah, but Shenong doesn't get his charge that easily, and also Shenong was just shitty coding. So,
Hey, you don't know that.
yeah, we do actually.
Does that mean Korpica's also shitty coding?
Kind of, yeah, because it was like written in the exact same way. Like it wasn't just like apply all at the same time. I'm pretty sure it still just had that same turn counter. Okay, sure.
Well, maybe they should have coded Jack Frost shittily too, because his CS is not that impressive like this. I mean, I get he gets to do the damage, more damage than what he's doing, which is, what he was going for anyway.
It's
but
fine. Fucking Jack Frost's entire identity is not being like a strong amp. It's just having the flexibility and, needing like 10 billion amp from other people. He needs the power of a Christmas, the people to believe in the power of Jack Frost to, save the day with his board wipe.
But yeah, he's okay, I guess.
The audience will note that Zalgus has not mentioned a single positive, holistic response to a single character in this discussion. So perhaps normalize his reactions.
Jack
for
Frost
sure.
is cute, I guess.
Milk, you there? You got something?
It went
Yeah,
out by milk.
No, I'm here. It's just that there's already a lot said that I feel like I don't really need to say much. His damage is low, and yeah, that's like bad, but honestly, I don't really think it's that much of an issue now when we have cracked kits like V Kengo giving a 50 multiplier.
Yeah.
That, I'm sure LW is gonna be this is a reasonable amount of damage amp 40 times on turn 1. That it's fine.
I mean, to be fair,
Well,
that's
not.
sorry, but
If not damage, then I was hoping you'd have at least slightly more convenient utility. I think if they made his turn start buff removal into movement phase end, it would be a lot better.
right.
Just so you can counter Ramu. Or maybe
I do not see Bramu.
Or maybe I don't know, making his drain / abstract thing a bit more potent.
Obstruct strengthening, drain strengthening. It could be nice, yeah. I mean, at least he's more practiced for farming than Oze was, so he could technically use it for farming too, so that he can reduce the chance of shitty things like darkness or madness or shit like that. I think they can. Wasn't it confusion? I think that's confusion.
Yeah, that's actually why I put Festival Tezcatlipoca in tier 4, I think, on the pairing list. Just because I think it was a funny idea to reduce an enemy skill rate by 45%.
I see. That is certainly deranged in the same way that Milk's teams are.
I mean, it is a synergy.
I guess. But, you know, I'm glad they made it more practical, because I feel like every single other case of drain and obstruct application was kind of just like frustrating or fucking dumb, like Baphomet or shit like that. So it's nice to see it being used for slightly more practical purposes with Jack Frost.
Yeah, I kind of get what they were going for, in the sense that like he's supposed to be like this convenient plug and play unit that you can like pair with almost anyone. I just wish he was like a bit better in like some niche, if not damage. Because right now he feels a tad underbaked.
It's I don't know. This is probably just them putting in the more mid units in part 1, so I guess there's a reason to be excited for part 2 despite what we know about it, which we can talk about at the end of the discussion.
They're so ugly.
Yeah, Jesus. There's the hot banner and then there's the kid banner, surely. So, and don't get me wrong, Jack Frost's still good, but he's not branded like Housamo. And I like the fact that, you know, they're making a more explicit move towards combining both Board Wipers and like local range damage dealers in like the same teams. Because Jack Frost lets to that. You know, if you don't have nearly as much restrictions on your teams, then you can bring someone like Andvari or like whatever other boss killer you want on top of Jack Frost to work in tandem in the same team. That's quite nice, I think. Yeah, I love the diversity he brings, so I might be using him very often in the future just because, you know, he works for meme teams, he works for practical farming teams, he, you know, is a good way to showcase a damage amp without just, like, being excessive. By the way, to give a specific value, you really should aim for at least 50 times damage amp with Jack Frost, because 2000 is not it. You need to multiply by 50 in order for him to reach 100,000, which is roughly the range of the highest HP units in farms.
I guess he has like 40k under the belt that we just discussed earlier, or was it 40 or 40 times the damage amp? V Kengo.
Yeah,
50. I forgot.
It was 50. It was over 50. It's Kengo's dumb.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
Shaking my head, so you know I disapprove.
But
yeah, I do think it's like interesting how Jack Frost is like tipping a domino over to enable like these people who were like previously shit, and now they're like actually usable with him.
Right.
Even though he himself is not that good.
I actually forgot the title of the stream because it was kind of hard to think of a general theme across all these evos and these units. But I guess that's true. Everyone sort of like power creeps every main relevant role in this game. There's like good tanks, good skirmishers for whatever reason. Board wipers that have more freedom. It's interesting, despite despite them not being overall powerful or more powerful than a lot of other units in this game, they all have something that they're the best at that no one else can really do. Fucking Jack Frost and his full freedom. What's called Bohemio and his like I don't know, being able to skirmish, I guess. Nisroch being unique for
you
having
have to
that.
be able to deal damage to skirmish.
He's a skirmishing
Yeah, I
tank.
think-
It's fine.
I consider him more of like a skirmisher enabler. Rather than being like
He belongs in skirmisher teams. I think that's a good compromise to describe him.
yeah, because I think skirmishers usually have like some form of consistent damage, and Bohemio has
Literally zero. Consistently no
Yeah.
damage. But you know, they're all uniquely the best at something, even if that rule doesn't exist. Except for Babalon. Babalon's fucking dead.
Babalon. I actually have nothing.
Not uniquely the best in their own.
Okay, but before we harp on about the rest of the units, we could just cover that at the end of this section. So I think we're done with Jack Frost, unless anyone has any remaining thoughts. No? Alright. Feel free to read out the chat, Harvey.
Jack Frost, cute.
He is, but Bohemio. Difference in taste. Fun.
You didn't spend your stones yet, right, Ara? You're, like,
I was
saving
so
for Nissan
tempted
part
because
two.
I learned Nisroch only much later got that immobility to self. I was fucking like blind to not realize that the first time. I was like, oh, he's just like another Babalon. No, he's better. But I pulled for him more, but then I was like, I really need to save for part 2 at least, so I'm gonna wait. We'll talk about that later though.
I see. Alright, where did we leave off? Damn, pull twice and get 5-star Jack and thought I was blessed. Oh wait, you said that. Jack Frost. Hee-ho. Hey everyone. The things I would do to censor Jack censored. Oh, Summer Arachne is good apparently. She provides 1 amp for him, but it's mainly just for like debuffing teams.
Yeah, complete neutrally with her Evo. I'm not sure if you remember it, but I like it. Amaterasu's clearly putting in the work here. Go Amaterasu. Let's go.
Jesus. But yeah, that's also why Amaterasu like up there. Be destined to see each other, my bear buddy. Oh, the limited 5-star I didn't want. Summer Arachne, my beloved. I'm gonna say it, but I really don't like. I don't really like Jack's basic skin and 5-star splash art. I think it's fine. I just wish he got like more skins, like his mascot outfit or like the suspender skin.
He has more than the average in his semester unit, but yeah, the base one's Santa uniform. Does anyone really like Santa uniforms on base?
I think it's one of the more
one
well
looks
done
nice.
ones. It's one of the more unique and well done ones because it's like an actual like.
Yeah, it's like it's giving
character.
Iger Santa skin. So well designed. It's not just the most generic one you can think of. Like Santa costumes from Timo.
I kind of wish he had a skin where he was actually wearing his mask.
I do too. I mean, he's cute with his tongue out. The things they do with it. But I do like the masky aesthetic a lot too.
What the heck is different about his second 5-star skin from the main one? Alternate voice. His voice lines. Huh, interesting. Basically mascot voice. Skin soon for have his frosty mascot voice. Beru Hagudayo.
That is one of his voice lines.
From Harvey's mic?
Do you remember which voice line it is, by the way?
His bear hug one? I think it's his skill activation line.
Yeah. Switch
It
to
is.
his. Thank you. Switch to his mascot skin. Check out the skill activation line. It's one of his cuter lines. If you're not satisfied with his voice acting, at least his mascot voice is kind of silly. You do a bit of a chicanery.
That's cute.
Cane.
Are those birds singing? I hear from Harvey's mic. Yeah. My mic picks up a lot of shit, and my window's open because it's like I like the fresh air, so that's why. Bear hug. He's giving Snow White apple. Coca-Cola mascot bear by day, Snow Tiger by night. That's a fun vibe. Imaged best Jack Frost partners.
That's when you were talking about
diversity
the
higher. Diversity higher. Yeah, that's a term I like using a lot when like something just does not fit onto a team. I was like, I remember like Jo sharing like this Team and Housamo help channel, and like Prometheus was on there, and I was like, what is this diversity hire doing here?
Burn to trigger the flat damage, but
Like-
also be a buff.
I hope they give him Evo that's like percent base flat damage, because that burn's not it.
Yeah, I think he was like using him for like the HP loss reversal, but I was like, just fucking use Hermes, dude. Okay. Voiced by Legoshi and Von Lycon. Yeah, that's a pretty big voice actor. On top of like being made by like a pretty popular artist, they also got like a pretty prominent voice actor too, so I'm guessing he's obviously gonna be like the main selling point for the banner, even though his kit is not too impactful. Amdu, why you evaded me? God, I was so disappointed by Jack's voice. Definitely didn't fit my vision of him.
I mean,
Deep
I talked
creative
about this
voice.
too, Harvey, but you know, his mascot at least, or his mascot variation voice at least is a bit funny. I don't know. What do you
to be
think of his
fair-
voice? Do you think it fits or something?
I think it fits okay, actually. I think it could have been better, but it's fine for what it is.
Yeah, at least it's not like offensively bland, like fucking, you know, half the units from that mountain event.
Oh my god. I don't even remember what Big Fit sounds like. That's crazy.
I use them so often and I still can't remember it either. That's crazy.
To be fair, anyone's voice falls short of Sexemio.
True.
Chikahiro Kobayashi is fine as his VA, but I expected something drastically different. Sounds so generic. I guess it's generic in like comparison to all these other zany characters, but I think it kind of fits his character to be like this. You have like one side of him being like this kind of emo
Did
high
everyone,
schooler slash colleger.
did any of you actually play the game where Funlycon is from, or watch Beastars for Legoshi? Because like I had no idea what he would sound like. I just thought, oh, they're adding him surely because he's a good voice actor, but not quite what I expected when I did
Are
hear
you
him.
asking the crowd or?
I'm
us?
asking you guys because the crowd's not going to respond on time.
Well, you know that
Okay.
me and Harvey play ZZZ. and
It's a lead-up question for the audience. Just answer it if you can, jeez. Like, does it seem like it's consistent with his voices in those games, or does he seem like blander in this one?
I mean, I don't have an opinion on Jack Frost because I don't hear him because all I hear is Quantum.
Okay.
Okay, well, I played with the Japanese dub for Zenless for a bit. I like alternate on and off depending on what I feel like. I can like sort of hear the resemblance. I think it's like kind of funny for his like mascot skin though, because you go from like this suave butler voice and then you go to like Daru Hagu Dasu.
Suave butler
Silly.
voice is a very generous way of putting it.
I'm talking
I
about
did-
Von Lycon.
Oh, I see. That would be shocking, wouldn't it? I guess he does have good range. What the fuck is his base Jack Frost voice in?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe he could have been a bit more angsty. Who knows? But I guess this is like his
True.
post-depression era. So. TBH, I think Housama's voice direction in general is kind of weak, or maybe the writing just isn't very good, or maybe both.
Ooh, hot take alert.
I don't agree with either of those points. I just think they're consistent, or they're rather inconsistent in terms of like how strong or weak they are for both writing and VA direction. Like you'll get some bangers and you'll get some flops. It is what it is. Well, that is true. VA is cooked with Bohemio voice. I disagree on both points. They just don't always hit, but that's to be expected. Have they ever gone back and nerfed stuff like that? I'm assuming they mean like when we were talking about the freeze stack shit. They don't. They not for this specifically, but they do like occasionally like quote unquote bug fix units, and they just like
Sandayu.
end up nerfing it. Yeah, Sandayu, Halloween Sandayu being a big example.
Golden Bucks.
But also like Summer University
Yeah.
is also a big one. You got actually kneecapped. Dude, he got nerfed twice. Are you kidding me?
As he deserves.
Okay, well. I'm sure Milk would disagree. When is part 2? Probably around April, question mark. Him being an enabler of weaker units is actually really thoughtful design given how popular they know that he is. Yeah, I can see that. I just wish he was, you know, a bit stronger by himself. Go Queen Amaterasu. Emo Frost. Okay,
So
I
true.
think that's it.
We did it, guys. Yet another discussion behind us. So proud of y'all. So, do I need to list the same list of questions that I do, or should I just open the floor to you guys to leave up with the ending thoughts? Okay, I'll just ask that list then.
I forgot what you asked.
Jesus Christ. So,
It's
I think you probably want to like talk about New Semester 2 or something.
Yeah. We'll
that
save
it?
that at the end. But for now, what do you think of, I guess, the overall designs of and kits of these units for part 1, as well as the login campaign rewards and the new endurance quest farm? I guess those are the only main talk. Well, there's also the spring campaign. You can talk about that a bit too if you were impressed by the login bonuses or the actual ethos. But yeah, anything that catches your mind these past 3 weeks? Let me know. Let us know.
Well, I'll just like go through a bunch of the things that you said. The login rewards, awful.
Yeah, they're kind of.
The new tanking quest, I think it's interesting. I'm wondering if like whether it'll be more like time efficient to do like the tanking quest versus the regular farming quest in like the future if they continue that trend. It's an interesting paradigm.
I haven't timed it, but the loss of the phase start effects definitely seems to speed up quite a bit when you're just playing within a single phase. Also,
like ideally you just like board wipe and then like finish the thing, right?
Yeah, people have like posted their clips of like them one-shotting the survival quest, just like being done with that immediately. So.
I mean, I would normally be upset by that, like saying, "Oh no, they kill tanking quests," but it's interesting because, well, they're sacrificing team boost, aren't they? And also, it kind of lends itself to boss killing as well, so that's like a new tier of damage, I guess. They have a lot of HP, don't they?
Yeah, they do have a lot of HP.
Yeah, so it's not the worst outcome that you can just wipe them. Given, I mean, they are sacrificing a lot of boost by bringing Xiwangmu and other random garbage like that.
I mean, I guess it's also just nice in general that I can't actually say like, oh, this guy's a defensive unit, they're useless. Like, yeah. Like, you can actually use them now. I don't know if it's like good, but you know, they have a purpose now, so that's nice. What else was there before those things? Alright, general design with the kits. Honestly, even though they're like underpowered, I'm pretty happy just because Nisroch is like solves that auto team thing without much thinking. Like his kit is good, and he has the immobility auto farm thing. It's like, yeah, that's nice. Because previously you had to like rig it with like Halloween Babalon and Yugen Wakan, and then you had to like skill seed both of them until like Halloween Babalon had like prayer, and then Yugen Wakan still had like an 80% proc rate, so like you needed an extra source of cleanse and concentration. I was like, Jesus. Yeah, it's like Nisroch being there is like nice.
You can also find
I'm in shambles though.
FP to Arch.
Yeah, I'm in shambles though because I had to spend everything. So
Jesus,
unfortunate.
Same. I actually have no stones right now and no tickets.
I mean, it's kind of fine because usually after new semester it's just like a reprint, isn't it? So if you're not looking forward to any reprints,
after part 2, I think it should be date quests and then summer reprint.
Yeah, so that's even worse than reprint point. So we have quite a bit of time before a proper event or chapter 16 or whatever. So if you are only interested in new units, now's a good time to, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a good thing to do so, but if you had to pick, now's a good time to blow all your stones irresponsibly. Not now, though. Wait for part 2. Right,
yeah.
Not just designs for kits, but also designs for, you know, how they visually look. Any thoughts on that?
I'm gonna try to be positive about like what artists do. So I'm gonna say that Bohemio and Jack Frost look nice. Xiwangmu is pretty well drawn, to be honest. I think like in terms of art style. I don't really like how Nisroch looks, but I think like in terms of like the Takumi Nakata audience that they seem to be going for with, you know, his voice actor and his like square head. Arch calls him like an ice cube. I don't really get it, but yeah. I guess it fits. Yeah.
I like that fat Middle Eastern slob look. It's a very specific thing, but
well, he's not actually fat, so you know, gotta think about that.
He's He has the fat aura. He's a chef. He's bulky.
I'm like so fucking tired of Life Wonders like giving them these stupid ass roid bellies out of nowhere. Like, just let these people be fat, Jesus.
Or
Like,
just give them all
you see
ponchos.
him in like his like regular chef skin outfit, and it's like he's like perfectly round, and then he like see his apron skin, and it's like, why the fuck do you have abs? And then you see his like 4-star or alt skin, and he's like sucking it in. It's like, what is this? What is this? Huh? What are we doing here?
I think it's nice to look at from like a 2 second, 3 second look, and then just don't focus on it too much. Be like, that's nice, and then don't focus on it any longer because then you'll start getting upset.
Oh, Jesus! I was actually wanting to pull for Yorm, but I'm poor. I'm washed.
No.
Unfortunate.
Yeah,
This fucking login campaign is not helping with us pulling either. The fuck? It's like 0 stones and only 2 transient tickets. Amazing.
Well, the summer logging campaign is like 100 stones, right? So I guess that's nice.
Too little, too late.
Yeah.
Zalgus, where you at?
We
You can
got.
jump in anytime, You don't have to wait in the end.
That would be rude to interrupt.
It'd be rude for you to wait until everyone's done.
Oh
No.
wait, the fat thing. I remembered something. I remember like somebody in Salmon Court called like both the 5 stars fat. I was like, oh right, this is the standard with what people have. Like Bohemio's fat.
Well,
even though
there's
he has, like-
Bohemio fat.
Oh right, and then in the fucking leak server, Arathun was like, "Why are they all fat?"
Yeah.
They're kind
was
of.
like,
I mean, none of them are
oh.
like your generic bata, which is kind of surprising for a full new semester banner.
But yeah, I was
I'm looking
like,
at Jack Frost
oh,
right now,
right.
and he has like hints of abs under that shirt. So
I don't know. People see bear, they sort of just gravitate towards they're probably fat, even if they're not. Unless they're
I mean,
Enigma, when they're obviously
his
a
hits
Dorito.
are fat, but
Anyways, I think
His back is like 5-star art is like massive. I don't know if you guys noticed that. It's like
it should probably already
actual
go
big
anytime.
back.
well, it's in his 3-star too. He's just very wide.
Interesting. Can't wait to see more Jack Frost art.
Well,
And-
there's a lot of it.
he is
If you're on the ping,
that's true. I looked
if
up
you're in
fucking.
the ping channels, like
I was checking for
phone
the
has been
Bohemio art.
blowing
There's
up.
like 5 in total, and I was just like, why am I alive?
the fan
That's just
artists.
the curse of being Gamu Bear in a Life Wonders game.
So,
I'm pretty sure like his Eidos characters get more love. Well, at least Sigvaldi does. I don't know about the humans.
Anyways,
Yeah, character art in this manner, I think, is like pretty well done. Even if like Nisroch is not to my personal taste, I think Xiwangmu has like one of the best compositions in this game. To be honest,
it's kind of like a good balance between light outlines and no outlines, like that Z's artist does. It's very pretty too. And
It looks
also,
nice. I just don't want to see it as much in my gadget polls.
I feel it.
Yeah,
But yeah,
it was
I
nice
think
getting here, but not getting Nisroch definitely stings.
she kind of like mogs Summer Hecate in the sense that like I can look at this without feeling like a gooner.
I mean, I think Hecate's art is kind of ugly. Well, I mean, maybe not so much ugly, but it's not that great.
I don't even remember it besides her having huge tits as usual. That's Summer Hecate for you. Okay, I think yeah, not much to talk about the campaign or the artwork yet. I mean, we did just talk about all this time. So we can finish off talking about, since Zalgus doesn't seem to have any thoughts about the endurance quest. Part 2.
I mean, what am I supposed to say about the endurance quests? They're not that hard to endure. There is many ways of trivializing it.
Thank you for the positive reception.
Well, it just sets a precedent for future.
Well,
content,
yes, I
guess.
enjoy that they're trying to do something. I would say I wish it was more lethal, but also that wouldn't even change anything as to what I'm doing because
It's
I'm
pretty
just
lethal. Like, you know, my fucking support Bohemio that bringing milks, I'm just like dies in 2 hits.
Isn't that because Bohemio is shit?
Oh,
It's
he's
because
good, he's good.
Plus have flat damage, I think. So you just like
Yeah.
pump affiliations into a unit and they live because
I need
the
to
5k flat
blind
damage
spot.
is not going to do anything to a person with 20k HP.
Yeah.
Doesn't
thank you for explaining it. I was
you
wondering
have
about
like healing?
It runs
or-
out
Yep.
on turn
Oh.
3.
It might also be like
Yeah.
that
Yeah, but like
attack-based flat damage, so the one that actually adds onto the attack thing like Spirit. That can't be reversed by flat damage reversal. Or HP loss reversal, rather.
oh, I see.
Because I think like Bohemia's is like when appearing, right? And like
yeah, only 2
the
turns.
flat
then.
damage is on turn 3, so it's like, okay, you're dead.
Thank you, Bohemio, for being the amazing tank that you are, showcasing what a tank can do for the endurance quests. I hate it here. But yeah, it's I like the potential, and really, at least I'm happy to be unironic. Like, at least I'm bringing a tank and they're doing stuff for the first 2 turns, maybe.
Honestly, like, it shouldn't be hard considering like the regular farming quests aren't hard. Like, if the survival quest is hard, it will be like, why are you gonna do them then?
They're like
You just play
decently
the
hard in
regular
terms
one.
of they can kill you if you just don't bring any tanking. So I appreciate that at least, but obviously they're not hard if you're potentially bringing tanks. Or
Yeah, I'm
you
just
know,
saying,
that
like,
are not
they,
beating you.
they shouldn't be like very hard taking quests if like the regular farming quests are like as easy as they are, right?
You'd be surprised. This is the first time they kind of balanced tanking endurance quests quite well, other than just giving them full damage resistance, because it's like, you know, for every other challenge quest, it's like you can sort of just survive pretty easily over a long period of time, even without too much damage amps, or defense amps rather. But in this one, you know, you kind of get fucked very quickly if you don't bring any. So there's like, they seem to be at least making a good first step towards finding that balancing value for what is a fair amount you need to tank for just a, you know, a farmable endurance quest.
I think they should probably make less blind spots because it's very easy if you just hide in the corner. Because the only one who is hitting you is Kyoma, and at that point, you're
To be
not
fair, it's
actually
Kyoma.
taking that much damage. You what?
To be fair, it's Kyoma, so he does an okay amount of damage. And again, he's killing Bohemio because Bohemio is such a good tank.
I mean, just use Quantum 3 then.
What's with this quantum showing from you, Zalgus?
Because I'm using Quantum, because I have an SA41 Quantum.
I'm just using.
Caramba.
I'm just moving Oscar.
Well, also because, I mean, I kind of like Quantum, but I never get to use her, so.
I was just like using my regular farm team from the other side. It's like fucking. I just like swap one of the Jack Frosts to the sub slot, and I bring in like Xiwangmu instead. And I like, yeah, I kind of like try to AFK farm it with Nisroch, and it works fine enough, I guess.
I don't
yeah.
know. Like, there's like, obviously it's not perfect, but like, let's be real. At least it's like, it's more interesting than the tall map farm or just regular damage dealing. That has like never been remotely difficult for like years now. So at least there's like some amount of thought being put for the tank
Back to the days of fucking Setsuban.
Yeah.
It's interesting. In chapter 14, HP request.
I'm done with tall map farms. Show me more of these endurance farms with large maps. I like them a lot. Okay, I think that's a good stopping point for these part 1 things, but you are right. We should bring up the part 2 stuff. So, I don't remember them, even though you told me, but you can go ahead and let people know the list of units, whoever, Harvey or Milk. It's up to you. Milk,
Oh, but not me.
do you actually know it?
I was the one who read it out to you.
Oh, okay. You too, I guess.
Whatever, I'll read it out. So new semester part 2 will have some gargoyle thing whose name we still don't know. Inari, who is that Fox sushi chef guy. Jersey Devil, who is the kind of dude bro looking dude with pickaxe. And I really should have looked up his name before I said this, but that really ugly monk guy who has like 1,000-yard stare. Yeah, him.
That's Jizo or whatever.
Yeah, Jizz.
More like Jesus Christ. What the fuck is this?
But yes, that is your part 2 banner. So the bait is probably Inari because he looks generically cute.
I wouldn't say that the bait is a gargoyle because it's like at this point everyone else is like kind of bottom of the barrel for appearance, at least in my opinion, for my taste. Maybe some of you are offended by that because you like them, but they're like part 1's definitely the cute banner. Yeah.
I mean, I think Inari has like the generic, furry, cute fox guy.
Extremely generic.
Also,
yeah. Don't expect the Jagannath or Vainamonin, who are the ones that I guess I was also looking forward to design-wise.
Also, Inari's the only one out of these 4 who were on the, the big displays that teased units. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone else has been like popping up in like either main quest or like some event story, and Inari has only been shown off in like
an ad.
Chemo Cat.
Oh yeah.
Ad, yeah. And yeah, the gargoyle has like not been shown at all, but we do know the artist, so
watch that gargoyle be the best looking one and also be limited, because it's not happening for the rest.
That's actually what I'm betting on, just because it's like it's a pretty good artist, I think, and I think Inari is like, while like generically hot, I think has like this aura of like being a 4-star.
He has that aura of being from that one Onsen Daichi game.
Tanokoli?
Yeah. It's like too soft and generically great. That's the aura he gives to me anyways.
I don't call him soft. Have you seen his legs? It's like uncanny how detailed they are.
Oh, okay.
Like, but yeah, I don't know. I thought it was gonna be like some New Year welfare type of thing, but if he made it onto a banner, I don't expect him to be a 5-star. As for the humans, they're if it had to be one of them to be a 5-star, it'll probably be Jersey Devil.
Yeah.
Just for...
I think some people liked them, didn't they? I don't know. Maybe I'm just imagining things.
Some people liked them. I don't respect their opinions, but
some people who like
them.
What's it called? Those trashy YouTubers that share news they see online and pass it off as content. Pretty cool, right? If you know who I'm talking about. Anyway, what's it called?
I don't know why they're like pushing Jizo onto this banner so quickly. I'm pretty sure he was like he dropped in like the Valentine's event, right?
I don't even remember like where everyone's coming from. I barely remember where everyone's coming from this banner. I think Jack Frost was from Magical Snowland, but I have no idea where Nisroch's coming from. It's like everyone's just debuted and everyone knows him, but
Nisroch and Xiwangmu were from the mountain event.
They both from the same one.
They dropped like so many like GBPGL units there. There's like they also dropped Jersey Devil there, so
that's kind of funny and also weird. No wonder why that event suffered.
Yeah.
They need to refill their gay baby jail coffers.
They should, but they should also like not just immediately release one new semester. Like the fuck is this? I at least expected Jack Frost to be released next Christmas, but like, why are we getting stat power unit on like new semester? The shit. How is that gonna be relevant? I mean, some people think it's obvious, but it doesn't make immediate sense to me.
So with this new semester part 2, that means the only unexpected unit that we're really getting is the gargoyle. So quite unlike our last new semester where
We get a bunch of new ones we've never seen before. Yeah.
like we didn't see like Amanozume, Baphomet, and Rabbit, whose name I can't remember right at this moment. No, wait, no, we saw him. But we also didn't see like Heilong, I think, and maybe Prometheus. But yeah, there were more unknowns there, so it's quite
They were like shown, but not in game.
boring lineup.
I think Prometheus was shown in that Bushy ad for some reason, as well as maybe one of the chapter
probably because
trailers.
he made it.
And I'm pretty sure another one was also in some random ad. But yeah, cool game. There's just the Manai Monin and Giganus in terms of who are super generically hot. I would imagine that maybe anyone is going to be in baby jail for all it's them, but maybe they're just going to throw them in chapter 16. I've been reserving this fact for a hot minute now, but historically speaking, there is, I had to confirm this, there is overlap between part 1 and part 2. So if any of this has convinced you to maybe save for whatever reason, not judging, maybe a bit judging, then, you know, there should be overlap between them if you want to, like, kind of split your resources between part 1 and part 2. However, that overlap is extremely short. It's not during maintenance time, so you can be assured that, you know, they will actually be available at the same time. That's some probably convenient timing. But last year's, I think the overlap was only 6 hours, so it's kind of fucking dumb.
Huh.
Who cares? I'm poor.
I'm also quite poor. I'm in poverty right now. Well, I might buy like monthly pack too, because like I might get some birthday money soon. I'll think about it.
Oh, happy birthday. Whenever
not-
that happens.
Yeah, in 3 days.
Yeah.
I'll probably like do the discounted multi for part 2, and then like just fuck off because I really don't care about these characters. I know some people like the artist for the gargoyle, but I really don't care too much about him.
Who is it?
It's Kobito.
No bells rung.
I'll need I'll need a example later.
Sure.
New semester part 2 should just appear on Friday, shouldn't it, Lynn? I'm presuming, because that's when the part 1 banner ends. Like, there has never been a new semester where they printed part 2 like 2 weeks after. It's pretty consistently been just like 1 week after, right?
Yeah, something like
Weren't
that.
you the one who was saying that you were doing confirmation of it?
Okay, well, I did, but then I sort of erased the irrelevant details and only remembered the overlap after. Anyway, I think we're done yapping on about these units, so I guess I'll just read out the chat if nothing else had anything else to say. Where did we leave off?
Yeah, go ahead.
Awesome. Emo Frost. Okay, login campaign rewards. Yeah, they are kind of a legendary dog shit, but that's honestly not the worst we received. It's pretty close to it, but it's not the worst. You just want all of the bear units? Haha. Well, you will take your Jack Frost 3-star and you'll like it. What reprints are coming up? We do not know. Reprints are definitely not one of the things that we know ahead of time, unless it's, you know, maybe a few days in advance. But definitely not from some major leak. Twilight Pool or Akiba Dragons. Is that roughly around the same time scale? I guess so, yeah. That is not going to be exciting because I already have Oz. It's safe to see what part 2 has is my goal too, though I may need Jack Frost 5-star. Yeah, I'll still try to pull for him more because I am not buying the next banner in terms of their designs. Link to the stream. Hey Ara and friends. They have names. Harvey and Zalgus and Milk. And Steven! Sorry, I've been watching Steven Universe videos lately.
That's turning.
It's nostalgic now. It's been long enough. It's fine. Only the furries get to be generally fat.
That's not true.
Saturnus.
Honestly, furries do fat better in general. When there's fat humans, they kind of make them like Choji-esque. It's like, come on, there's more body types than that for fat people.
It's okay, because Daichi is gone now. Wink.
Supposedly. Yeah, I guess with Corpcore out of the way, there's not really anyone else. He might as well be a dwarf like Andvari. Are you talking about Nisroch? I guess. Just wanted to say, your disappointed Nisroch has no lore related to Babalon or his Assyrian lore. Yeah, that is disappointing based on what I read. It was kind of interesting reading how he was originally some god of agricultural that, essentially was only identified in the Bible through, and he was misnamed from Nimrod or some shit like that. And then, of course, Christians do what Christians do best and demonize other gods and say, they're not gods, they're false, they're demons, and that's why he's a demon now. But I guess there's just not enough known about Nisroch because, at least from the cursory research I found, his only existence is within the Bible, not really through any other existing records of him. Jack Frost in main story, allegedly. Maybe Snegorchka Christmas heavily implies a certain African spider has ties to Jack's stuff in the event story. Well, I am looking forward to more people from Gisemba. We'll just have to see though. Holy shit, Anatsi and Housamo. I'm equally excited and extremely worried. Who the fuck is that? They should be...
The spider mentioned in the previous comment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. They should...
I told you about this character before.
Am I supposed to remember a random African spider called Anansi without any art or like? I'm not even that far in the story. Come on, give me a break. They should
Maybe
really.
You should have watched Static Shock when you were younger.
Okay, so it's obscure ass references. They should be really be like combining some events into this story. Just saying, this story that is giving a 2009 call from them back to slang. Does Hoso have any African characters otherwise so far? There is that Scorpion guy, sorry, I'm forgetting, AGF guy, Mr. AGF, there's him. And maybe Onion Capon. And that's all I can remember.
Scorpion. Oh, you mean Manticore?
Yeah, Manticore is right. Anansi isn't here, Onion Capon is though. Catopopos technically? Yeah, actually, Catopopos would be, but I don't remember him being remarked as part of that world. I guess it's because he's more known for, being recorded from Greek literature. Some guy from Greekland, Greece, whatever it is. It's like, oh, Catopopos became here. And that's the first mention of his name from a Greek account of it. Yeah, I know he isn't here yet, but he's popular enough that I could see them adding him. Isn't Bohemian black? Is Kafil Bohemio is Romani. That's not necessarily true, but it is true that Bohemia and Bohemians are Romani. And the term Bohemian actually doesn't just exclusively refer to people from Bohemia. It also refers to a sort of a philosophical movement and art movement where people, reject prosperity and modernity and all the current cultural values in place of, living, I guess, more than just frugally, but rejecting capitalism and stuff like that. A lot of the, middle-class society within the Western world right now is actually sort of a product of that Bohemian subculture taking a grip of it. But, of course, true Bohemian subculture is a lot more extreme than that, where you got literal hobos like Bohemio. That's not an insult to the design. He's literally a hobo. You just read his research profile, he is homeless. But yeah. He's not necessarily Bohemian because he might be... They just call him of the nomadic tribes, whatever that means. He could be, but who knows. Manticore technically is from the African location, Agisemba. I knew he was involved. Kind of weird. You always suck. Catopopos was based in Hawaii. Should have been based on Africa, though. Gargoyle. Jagannath is dead, unfortunately. That's probably the one I was looking forward to, but it's not like I actually liked him. I just thought he looked nice. In the same way that, I think Willy Wildcat looks nice, generically. Not really personally speaking, though. Well, maybe slightly more.
I actually think he's a little ugly, but that's just me.
I'm fine with a little ugly in my units, or even, ugly cute, like fucking Nisroch, but it's...
You're the biggest Kami defender here, so I would believe that.
Varga and Miniaki, they're cool. Trust. Link to pictures of these guys.
No.
You can you can see it in the server. Go to visit our server. Not ours personally, but we are all just happen to be in part of a Samo server, Housamo server, linked in the description of every video and stream and shorts. And you'll see some pictures of it in the spoiler channel pinned there. So welcome to the community if you're not part of
It's
the
the threads actually. Everybody makes a thread for every new BBGL unit.
Yeah, that's true. So go check out those threads. It has Jagannath and Venaimonen, which are both pretty hot, but also are not being in part 2. And then it also has 3 of the other 4 part 2 units, which are decidedly not hot, but that's just me and maybe a lot of other people. And you can also see their art there. Jagannath's stats isn't 5 stars, so okay, then come on. You couldn't get Jack Frost, and you don't know if you should be mad or not. You will have 6 hours to decide if you want to pull for the other units or not. But you can review how they look in the server. Inari reeks of 4-star and JD of or Jersey Devil of 5-star, but oh well, what can you do? I sort of sense that too. I know people are saying Inari 5-star, but he looks so generic. There's no way. Mao sounds like Hawkman's absurdly oversized legs. Are we talking about fucking what's called Hector? Maybe.
I think we were talking about was it when I was mentioning Inari's legs?
Yeah, that's true. I need to review his art again. Actually, never mind. I don't care what he looks like. He can have fucking elephant legs for all I care. I'm not playing for him. C'est la vie.
What if he has the coolest kit in the game?
Then unfortunately I will pull for him, okay? But in terms of art, I'm not. Jeez. But I need to go now. Thank you for sticking around this long, Gazer. Although you're probably long gone now. Later, see you in part 2. Transient Double coming, at least according to the sources. Yes. You can refer back to the stream and see if we're all clowns or not, though. A Dragon Mountain event box. Truly the event of all time. Bruh, you just wanted Chapter 17 to come out before this next Freight convention. I mean, Chapter 16? I am hoping Chapter 16 does come because, I'm excited to see how they close off this entire book. You need another chubby character. We got a bunch from this banner as well as the South Ruins recently. And, yeah, I don't think we're starving as chubby lovers. Always needed.
These people aren't fat, they're fake.
Okay, fair enough. But they're also not, twinks at least, so... Well, maybe Jack Frost a tiny bit, but also
what?
Don't take offense to that. You don't want my slightly different definition of Twinkers.
What is? You're fucking insane.
It's fine.
Oh my god.
He's not Enigma. Okay, definitely not. There you go. Also, actually, now I remember. I do remember one thing about his art. If I don't remember his belly, but he has fucking ginormous tits. It's kind of funny.
Yeah,
that's rather talent.
Big frosty milkers. I don't know.
Also, does the whole event end on April 1st or just part 1? It should be just part 1. You can see the exact what's called time frames within the official Housamo news channel. I believe it's housamo.info. New semester part 2 will appear either 7 days or 13 days after part 1. I don't know where this 7 or 13 days is coming from. Because part 1 is ending. They're not gonna have fucking nothing for the second half of this new semester campaign. Give me that Knuckle Tiger. Kobe Tawani, surprised to see it took him this long to get a Housamo character. I do not know who that is. I want to see El Tigre in an event. El Tigre. What the fuck is El Tigre?
I think they're referring to the Knuckle Tiger.
Oh, okay. New semester 1 and 2 usually have a gap of 10 days. 10 days from 21st is the 31st. Dangerously close to April Fool's. Content overlap. They do not have a... What? There has never been a gap that large. In fact, new semester 1 and 2 has been infamously, banners that have been side by side with each other. For better or for worse. But no, there's never been a 10-day gap between new semester 1 or 2. Part 1 ends on 3rd. Part 2 overlaps either a day or 6 hours. So yeah, that's the best we can do, maybe 6 hours. But again, new semester started early, so who knows? Part 2 could also start early with a gap of only 7 days. So we're not doing nothing for 7 days. Calm down. Manticore comes from Africa myth. It allegedly does, I think. Maybe. I don't know. Oh yeah, Enigma hates Jack. The reason is actually quite funny. Go read the research profile for it. Actually, I can just give a summary. It's something like Jack Frost was specifically personally invited by the Guild Master of the Creators, aka Turing, and Enigma goes a bit salty because he's like, does he not actually like me? He just likes any like fluffy bear. But you know, we can consider Enigma his failed beta run experiment, and he's looking for better options at this point, maybe. Technically, Jack is Bada or considered Bada, right? Yeah, I'd say he fits in that context quite well. But with that said, I don't think the Bada lovers are gonna be pulling for Jack. It's more so like the Prey lovers. Rizo is a thing. He forgot. Keep forgetting. He's not worth
Yeah, I was gonna say, forget again.
Disappear.
All right. We are all done. Any remaining thoughts on this, or should I just close it off?
Jizo is ugly.
I used to be like more neutral towards Dirty Devil, but I'm just trying to just see him as more and more unappealing. It's like it's the same thought process I had with like Akiko Gongen, where I was like kind of okay with him at first, but as time went on, I just like started to dislike them more.
I agree.
Being, like radicalized.
I first saw him, I was like, oh yeah, the Barra lovers will love this, and then the more I saw him in his alt art, I was like, oh, this guy's kind of fucking ugly. Goodbye. Anyway, speaking of goodbyes, we should just head out now, so on 3, everyone. 1, 2, wait, hold on.
Bye.
Not yet. I need to talk about the schedule coming up. Scheduled, look forward to more shorts for the new spring campaign coming up, and for the next few days, and then you'll see the shorts released for this one as well. But maybe I'll have the video ready for these new semester units. Maybe tomorrow, I don't know. Tomorrow or 2 days from now. And then you can probably look forward to another discussion next week, presumably, if the next new semester part 2 banner comes out by then. And you'll see the shorts for the second half of the campaign, the spring campaign units, as well as the new semester part 2 units sometime after that. Alright, for real this time. 1, 2, 3. Bye!
Bye.